What a great way to honor our country. And what a great shot of our troops and all those planes flying over. Best way to honor these race fans is going to be to start these engines. We'll do that when we come back to the Iowa Speedway.
The first nationwide series event ever at this beautiful facility, and this race is green.
A number of the double-duty drivers starting at the back of the field.
Here's Kyle Busch plowing his way to the front of the field.
That 33 car is flat on the move.
As the battle for the lead is on it, too.
Go, come on.
Kevin Harvick in the 33 is behind the wall in the garage.
Caution is out. There's a car up into the wall in turn number 2.
We can't give up track position. I can't beat them if I do the same thing they do.
Well, Keselowski stays out, thanks everybody.
Well, it could be a sitting duck or it could be a stroke of genius.
Busch back to the point here in Iowa.
88 car getting his nose underneath Kyle Busch. It's not over. It's a drag race.
The 88 of Brad Keselowski with a second win and an inaugural win at Iowa.
Oh, yeah, great way to start things off last year here at the Iowa Speedway. This weekend actually didn't get off to a great start weather-wise, but it has changed. Rain yesterday, track conditions today, beautiful, and they got 90 minutes of practice here this morning, Ricky, on a track that the drivers just love.
Yeah, they do love it, and it makes sense because it was built and designed by one of NASCAR's greatest, Rusty Wallace. What Rusty gave these guys, the drivers, is more banking on corner entry. That allows them to run side by side more comfortable. The same thing on corner exit. They can be more aggressive with the gas pedal. On top of that, variable banking. In the low groove, 12 degrees, 13 in the middle, 14 in the top. Drivers love options. They have it here at Iowa.
And Ray, is that one of the reasons why 8 drivers made the back and forth trip from Pocono this weekend?
Well, we can certainly understand why Brad Keselowski and Carl Edwards for championship points. But you got guys like Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch that flew 1,000 miles just to race here. Why? Because they have fast cars and they like trophies.
Those are some of the veterans. Let's talk about a young guy, Trevor Bayne, on the pole here tonight. Ricky, it's his 3rd in a row.
Yeah, 3rd in a row. Remarkable. 3 completely different racetracks.
Has that happened before?
Ray, last time that happened was...
I don't think Trevor Bayne was born. I was with a young guy named Jeff Gordon, and I think Trevor Bayne was a year old when we did that.
It is remarkable. To put it into perspective, Trevor Bayne has 3 top 5s. They've come in the last 5 weeks. We've seen transformation of a young, aggressive, inexperienced driver into a driver that can mix and match with veterans, with the best of them. It's going to be fun to watch tonight.
And he's got a veteran guy now helping him even more.
Exactly. Some of that veteran experience comes from his driver coach, Johnny Benson. Johnny's won races, championships, and he is in the kid's ear. He's giving him those little tricks that you can do, Ricky, that will help you win 3 poles in a row.
Exactly.
18 total wins for JB. Can't hurt either to help this young driver. All right, we're at time to get these engines started, so let's go back down trackside.
Iowa Speedway fans, are you ready to go NASCAR nationwide racing? Please welcome U.S. Cellular Vice President of the Central Region, Kathy Hust, as she delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
They raced in the daytime. Today, the sun is going down, and this will be a nightcap. A great way to spend the 2nd race at the Iowa Speedway. Well, when we come back, we are going to talk to our in-race reporter, Michael Annette. He grew up right near here, and he'd like nothing more than to show this hometown crowd what he can do in the 15 car. Well, come back soon to Iowa Speedway. Back at the Iowa Speedway, qualifying held earlier today. Brian Scott, his best career qualifying position of the year, ties him with his earlier this year at Fontana. Kyle Busch had the 2nd draw, and he qualified on the outside of row number 1. Trevor Bayne, the 99 car, he is our pole sitter. And he went out 27th. Did he catch a cloud? Did he get lucky? I think it was total skill. His 3rd in a row, as we mentioned earlier. Well, you're going to see the starting lineup roll across the top of your screen there. Hopefully you'll see your favorite up near the front. Michael Annette, our in-race reporter, is in that field there. And Ricky Craven, why don't you see if you can dial him up?
Okay. Michael Annette, Ricky Craven in the ESPN booth. Do you have us?
Poor Ricky. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Hey, you're at a track that you're very familiar with. You had a great qualifying effort. How do you feel about your chances tonight?
I'm very excited about it. We were happy with the car early on in the sun, and we know the race is going to end in the dark, so we'll just have to make changes as we go. But it's a nationwide insurance dash for cash race. I think this place is sold out, and they're definitely getting an exciting show.
Michael, our mailbag question this week comes from Adam in Columbus, Ohio. Do you feel any added pressure racing in your hometown in front of your friends and family?
The only extra pressure there is the pressure I put on myself to perform well here. But I'd be selling all the guys that build these cars, and they work their butts off for me each weekend if I acted like this race was any more important. So there's pressure every weekend, and of course I want to win at home though.
Sounds great. Good luck to you, Michael. And now Ray Evernham's going to talk to your crew chief.
Ryan Fugel, Ray Evernham in the booth. You got me?
Hey, Ray. Got you loud and clear, bud.
Hey, Ryan, we heard your driver talking about making adjustments. You guys got to practice when it was cool this morning. You got to qualify in the heat of the day. Now you're going to get to race at night. Have you got enough adjustment in that car to keep it up front?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. We worked real hard all day. This Northland Oil Pilot Travel Center's Camry's been good all day since we unloaded. Good balance and everything. We got a bunch of spring rubbers. It's been real receptive to air pressure changes. So we're excited about tonight.
Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thanks, bud.
And we'll talk to our in-race reporter hopefully later on this evening as well. We've got some other onboard cameras for you tonight, 8 total. As you can see there, Josh Wise, Justin Allgaier, Mike Lynette, Reed Sorensen, Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, Steve Wallace, the guy who starts first tonight, Trevor Bayne, will all be giving you those great shots from onboard their race cars. We've also got an over-the-wall reporter. That's Lee Cunningham tonight. Hey, Lee. Lee's the rear tire changer for the 99 car of Trevor Bayne from Forreston, Illinois. The 24-year-old says his mom is here to watch tonight. So, hi, Mom. Hope you do a great job, bud.
Thank you.
All right, so Lee Cunningham will lead that team the back of the car, and got the all set to go for 250 laps here tonight. That's about 219 miles, 40 mile per hour pit road speed to keep the guys safe down there. And Ray, every 95 to 105 laps, we're going to see pit stops for fuel. They could obviously make it on 2. Do you think they'll want to come down pit road a third time for fresh tires?
I think with this tire combination, you're going to see guys want to keep track position. It doesn't look like tires are going to be a problem tonight. Once the guys get gas in these things, I think they're going to stay out and try and keep that track position.
Very good. Well, our pit reporters have been actively seeking out all the stories down there this afternoon. Let's get their final thoughts before we go green, starting with Shannon.
Well, Dave, 19-year-old Trevor Bayne in his first season with Diamond Wall Trip Racing really seems to be the complete package, and his results have really improved over the past few weeks. He's had 3 top 5s in the last 10 races, and as you've already mentioned, his 3rd consecutive pole. And you better beware, because according to the team, this is the best car they've had all season. Rick?
Well, Brian Scott must be a new age kind of guy. He calls this a new age track, and he qualified 3rd here, which equals his best qualifying for the year. But he says the secret here is compromise. Yeah, you got to have the long setups, but you better be ready for a 2 or 3 lap sprint at the end. And he says he wants to be a part of that. Jim Noble?
You know, we've all heard the rumblings, the possibility that Cup drivers won't be eligible for the nationwide title next year. Where does that leave Carl Edwards? We'll tell you right after the green flag.
Thanks, Jim. And the second ever race at Iowa Speedway is green. Pretty clean going for the first 2 corners. Trevor Bayne looking to lead that first lap, but there's the veteran Busch on the outside already powering off 2, guys.
Yeah, he got a strong run off the middle of 1 and 2, and it carried him all the way down the back.
Whoa, 3 wide, and Kevin Harvick squeezes off Steve Wallace. He backs off.
Trouble, guys.
And trouble in turn 4. They are spinning and wrecking. Morgan Shepherd is involved, and he gets tagged pretty hard right there by the 10 of Taylor Malsom. And there were other cars spinning up high. And it was just a mess back there in the middle of the pack. I said they got through 1 and 2 clean, 3 and 4 not the same.
That's something that we were a little bit concerned about, Ricky, on the restarts here on the colder tires. This is a little bit harder tire combination that Goodyear's brought, and it takes a little bit of time to get temperature in those cars. Just where the guys were talking about them slipping and sliding, and when you're in traffic, takes away that downforce we talked about being so important, and a hard tire, not a good combination.
Yeah, you cannot be aggressive with the accelerator early on. It takes 4 or 5 laps to get enough heat in the tires so that you can actually work the gas pedal, and you described it perfect.
And it looks like Mike Bliss in the 40 and Morgan Shepherd in the 21, they first make contact.
Drivers describe the tires being edgy on corner entry, and there's a little bump down here in 1 2. This happened off of 4, so it's like they got through the hard part of the racetrack.
You know, it's funny though, off of 4 has been the hard part most of the day today. There you see Mousom getting into the 21 of Shepherd, but that happened in the middle of the corner, and 21 and 40 just getting loose. Well, Mousom's crew will stand by so they can hopefully work on the right front of that car. As Taylor comes around, we are under caution here at the Iowa Speedway for the first time. 2 laps have been completed here in Iowa. Second time we've run here. It was exciting last year. It's already started that way in 2010. Back at the U.S. Cellular 250 presented by Northland Oil and John Deere. For all of your NASCAR news and information, be sure to go to NASCAR.com. You'll get the latest if you log on to NASCAR.com. Well, speaking of the latest, we've been reviewing some video up here watching the 21 and the 40 get together. But, Ricky, you saw something else.
Yeah, the 22 lost grip in the middle of the corner. And remember, this track doesn't have a lot of rubber up in the high side. He was up in no man's land. You don't want to be there, particularly early in the race. Great catch by the points leader.
Championship leader Brad Keselowski at the beginning of all that, catching his car, and he is none the worse for the wear. Now, let's look at the restart because Trevor Bayne is back on the inside. The leader is actually Kyle Busch, Ray, and it looks like he's going to use it like he did at the start of the race. The leader gets to choose, and Kyle's chosen the outside.
Yeah, this is something that we've seen here in the past before, but with that hard tire, I think you choose that outside so you can keep that momentum up. These nationwide cars have certainly less horsepower than the Cup car, so it's important to keep that momentum up.
And Ray, we're going to talk a little bit about room for error. On the outside, you've got room for error, but all those cars lined up on the inside, they have to be more careful because their reference is the guy to their right, and they're pretty darn close down through 1 and 2.
Well, one good thing is we've got a little bit of temperature in the tires, so we should not have a problem with guys spinning the tires as quickly on this start.
You said should.
Should.
Okay, should not have. Let's see what happens. Trevor Bayne is on the inside. Kyle Busch, the leader, is on the outside. Brian Scott and Brad Keselowski make up row number 2. The green flag is back out, and we're back racing here at Iowa. And there you have it. Kyle immediately to the lead in that outside line.
You're going to see Brad Keselowski try to pull the same move off of 2 that Kyle had at the start. Doesn't get it. Now he's transitioned down to the bottom. This is edgy getting in the corner. Really edgy.
On the inside line, you're saying?
It really is.
Bayne holds him off. Keselowski maintains 3rd position. Brian Scott looking for a way through in 4.
3 wide right there on the front straightaway. Kevin Harvick going underneath of Stephen Wallace.
Wallace in the middle. Jason Leffler up high. You know, when Stephen described this track to us, he said there were 3 grooves through the corners, and I guess he's right. They showed us right there.
I thought he was talking like 20, 30 laps into the race.
On warmed up tires. Well, apparently they've got their temperature up now. Look, showing you the front of the field there. Harvick in that 33. Remember, he went back and forth. David Mayhew from the West Coast practiced that car for him. Got a lot of laps on here. In fact, took more laps than anybody else all day long in the 90-minute practice session this morning. As you look at the front bumper of Leffler. Jason Leffler right now running in the 7th position. You're looking back from Kevin Harvick on board.
So when you look at Kevin Harvick, you expect him to find his way to the front, but maybe not as quickly here as we expected, and he's getting a challenge from Jason Leffler.
Yeah, and he is running up on Justin Allgaier in a backup car from a crash this morning, doing a really good job, showing him Penske Dodge has had some strength.
And Leffler qualified 6th. That was a great run for him. So you can see already he feels racy already, but Harvick will get the positions.
And keep in mind, Kevin Harvick, his reference right now is still Pocono. He qualified the car, but he doesn't have a lot of laps here, enough to understand where he can be strong or where he's weak.
And again, he said the reason that he chose Mayhew to practice his car for him, well, he's won a race here in the K&N Pro Series, and so that is why Kevin wanted to put Mayhew in the car and get the setup to where he could contend for the win as soon as he jumped in. Looking at Allgaier just in front of him. Allgaier holding down that 5th position as they come off of turn 4, get real close to that wall. We've seen that be a trouble spot. Right now, Allgaier and Harvick diving down to the inside have it handled.
Plenty of room to race side by side there with the variable banking. Kevin is able to stay on the bottom, yet Allgaier is able to keep up his speed through that middle groove.
Yeah, Kevin just doesn't know what he can and cannot get away with yet. It's not time to make things happen. It's time to wait for things to happen. And Kevin's racing it like a Sprint Cup Series points leader.
Allgaier hasn't had a perfect day either, by the way. He was involved in an early wreck in practice with Ricky Stenhouse. This is 20th place up for contention right now. That's Paul Menard in the 98 and Steve Arpin in the 88 car on the outside.
And again, Arpin, one of the local dirt drivers, runs a lot of dirt around this part of the country, getting a big shot in the junior motorsports vehicle.
Wait a minute, he's Canadian. He runs around here. He tows all the way down here to participate in some of these big races.
Yeah,
this is almost a home track for him.
That's just unbelievable. Steve Arpin holding down that position now. Arpin in the 19th spot, Menard in 20th. You see Michael McDowell in that blue and gold car right behind him. That's the 81. And behind them, that's the 34 of Tony Raines. McDowell looking good so far. Had to qualify into the field on time as we take you back up toward the front. Carl Edwards right now running in the 12th position. He another of the drivers who went back and forth from Pocono, and the first laps he saw here this weekend were in qualifying.
All of these drivers are going to have to adjust to what their backup drivers gave them. The first adjustments are going to be critical because that'll be their first opportunity to adjust to what they want out of their cars.
And Eric Darnell, part of the Roush Racing family, he's the one that put the practice laps in for Edwards.
And Eric does a great job at that. He and Carl have worked together several times before, so a little bit of more familiarity for what a driver wants.
Here's Carl coming off of turn 2. You saw right behind them a battle going on between Drew Herring and Jason Keller. Someone you might not remember named so much, that of Herring in the 27, and there's Keller in the 35. Keller, by the way, finished 6th here last year and had a great qualifying spot today in 11th. As we see 6th place changing hands here today, that's Leffler back on the inside of Harvick.
You know what's interesting about this is that Jason Leffler in traffic passing Kevin Harvick is putting down some lap times equivalent to Kyle Busch. That'll get your attention.
So why is he not leading Kyle Busch? He's got all those.
Just wait a minute. and he's got something to battle for. You know, he started last week's race at ORP. He didn't make a lap, and he was all wrinkled up.
He's about a half a straightaway behind leader Kyle Busch right now. Nothing has changed up front. Trevor Bayne still trying to track down the veteran. As you see Reed Sorensen now going by the 35 of Keller. Sorensen in that yellow car. That car only took about 4 laps in practice. It was practiced by teammate Jason Leffler, and that was for the 13th position. Here's your 3rd place battle. This is Brian Scott. 3rd is where he started. He lost that to Keselowski. He gets it back now. Brian Scott in the 11 car has had a last few weeks that have been very good to him. Trying for another top 10 or better here today.
And, you know, we talk a lot about Trevor Bayne and the progress he's made, but Brian Scott is the same. And I talked to Brian earlier today, and he says, you know, my favorites are 1.5-mile tracks, and this feels like a 1.5-mile type racetrack. That's how Rusty Wallace described it to me. It doesn't surprise me that he's running as well as he is.
And part of that Braun Racing team, his teammates Reed Sorensen and Jason Leffler. So it looks like those guys have found something either in tire pressure or shock package, because the longer they're running, the faster the cars are getting.
Let's get more on the 11 of Brian Scott from Rick DeBrule.
Well, talking with Brian just before the race, he said he was actually a little disappointed with this 3rd qualifying spot. He thought he had a front row car, just wasn't quite able to pull it off. But I was talking at the beginning of the race about the compromises he's running. He said you really have to set up for those long runs, but more importantly, you've got to be ready for that 2 or 3 lap dash that's going to happen. He's predicting those yellow flags that could be coming at the end of the race. Remember, he is a Rookie of the Year candidate. Right now, he's leading those points, so every finish he can get here will be critical. So far, his best finish of the year is 3rd. He'd like to do that or better.
Brian Scott again running into 3rd position, trying to chase down Kyle Busch and Trevor Bayne, our pole sitter, as Scott makes his way down the front straightaway again. Those of you who have been watching tennis, you are joining us live at the Iowa Speedway in Newton, Iowa, about 30 miles east of the capital of Des Moines. And from the drop of the green flag, it has been all about that bright red and black number 18, Kyle Busch. He started second on the outside of the front row, and he passed pole sitter Trevor Bayne immediately and has led every lap here so far. Now working lap number 24, completed 23 so far, and it looks like another day for Kyle. This is the 17th race that he has led this season, all of the races he's run, and that's an all-time record at 20, all-time record for Kyle.
Of course, he did this the hard way. Showed up, no laps, his first lap on the track.
And if anybody can get that done, it's Kyle, right?
That's it.
And there's our local boy, Michael Annette, doing a great job out there racing with Carl Edwards, our in-race reporter.
Edwards is 10th right now. Contesting that is Annette.
And there's all kinds of experience, all different levels of experience. But racing guys like Carl Edwards, when you're a young driver, is priceless.
And they just gotten around the 27 of Drew Herring, you see right there, and also the 32 of Reed Sorensen in that mix. And Herring's looking racy in that 27, that Baker curve entry, not sponsored. Herring, a good little shoe. They hired this. In fact, I talked to his spotter right before they went up top, and he said that's exactly what he said. Good shoe, Drew Herring. Looking back at Michael Annette from Edwards.
Now, Ricky, as we look, we see the shadows as the sun sets here behind the grandstand. We have parts of the corner entry and going into turn 3 and into turn 1 out in the sun, exit. But as you get into 3 in the middle of 4, down the front straightaway, it's shaded. Is that going to affect the guy's vision? It's definitely going to affect the way the car's handled.
Yeah, and it can be disruptive, Ray. Remember, you use the wall as your reference. To gain speed, you want to go up as close as you can to the wall, let the car drift. And when you have that shadow, it affects your markers around the track, or your turn-in points or your exit points.
Well, we already see the multiple groove racing that we talked about from the start of the day today, working its way out, and drivers choosing now where they're finding speed in their race cars.
They're settling in what I like to call the sweet spot here, where we're maybe a third of the way into a run. And this is where I'm going to call down to my crew chief, Ray, and I'm going to say, Ray, this is what I have right now. And this is pretty valuable, isn't it? Because you might get a 30-lap run at the end of the race. Decides the winner.
Well, absolutely. You'll know where you're at with tire pressure and whatnot. I'm going to tell my driver that, hey, as we watch a great battle on the racetrack there with Kevin Harvick, Justin Allgaier.
12 cars in 6th position right now, Ray. Kevin Harvick battling with him. Kenny Wallace a lap down in the 28.
But I'm going to be telling my driver, okay, look, the lights aren't on yet. I don't want to get the car too tight, but let's take a good look at our tire pressure.
Here goes Harvick down to the inside of Allgaier, down into turn 3, and he's not going to get him because of that multiple groove racing. Check that out. Allgaier with the power down off the corner. Allgaier continues to hold that 6th position. Remember, Harvick started the day in 7th, and that's where he runs right now. Hasn't made any progress forward. And I bet he's one of the drivers who's waiting for a chance to have his crew chief do some work on it. All right, let's go down to pit road. Jim Noble is covering Allgaier today.
Well, Dave, you referenced the interesting morning of Justin Allgaier. He did wreck the primary car in that skirmish with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Then, at the end of practice, he got into it with Stephen Wallace to the point that NASCAR officials wanted to hear what was going on between those two. Now, in race time, Justin just radioed in and said he is way too tight right now. He's having a hard time getting into the corner, plowing through the middle of the turn.
Thanks, Jim. A lot of things to distract these drivers before they get to the race here. As Harvick works on him, we will come back here to Iowa Speedway. 32 laps completed. Your leader is Kyle Busch. Trevor Bayne trying to chase him down. We got around the bases twice this week on Sunday and Monday night for more Major League Baseball coverage. First, it's Andre Ethier and the Dodgers taking on their longtime rivals, the Giants, led by Buster Posey. That's ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball, 8 o'clock Eastern. Then the National League East rivals take the field on ESPN's Monday Night Baseball. That is at 7 Eastern as David Wright and the Mets take on Jason Hayward and the Braves. Both games are also available on ESPN3.com. our lead is heating up just a bit. 38 laps in the books, and Ray, we've been seeing Trevor Bayne make his way forward.
Yeah, as the 18 got into traffic, Kyle seems to struggle a little bit. He might be getting a little bit of an arrow push, and Trevor Bayne seems to be able to get a little bit better run up off of turn 2. So whatever they've made adjustments to his car better, Kyle might be looking for a pit stop to make some adjustments to his too.
Yeah, that's the great thing about this racetrack, and we say that there's 3 distinctive grooves. You're running this fast, you can get into that dirty air, so the driver has to move up a groove, get some air on the front, help the car turn, go where they're not. These guys are both going to get real busy here because they're in heavy traffic.
And I got to bring this up again. Trevor Bayne spent 90 minutes of practice today with 35 laps on this racetrack. Kyle Busch did not. Somebody else was practicing his car. How important?
As you see him there making a peek inside, probably making his driver coach a little bit nervous, kind of going 3 wide there early. I don't know if Johnny's up there coaching him to go to that, but it looks like he's going to come out of there with a lead.
For the lead now into turn number 1, and he won't quite get it. He washes up, and Busch holds on.
But what was key is he didn't overdrive the turn entry. Had he done that, he probably would have been backed into the wall.
I don't think he's given up. He is still on the tail of Kyle Busch. Trevor Bayne trying to get back the lead, which was rightfully his, and we've got, a car in the wall. That is Reed Sorensen up in the wall in turn 1 and 2, and now he's got fire.
Big hit. Looked like he had a problem getting in there to be hit that hard on the right front.
Did it not look to you like a right front going down? Maybe too much camber here early? There's some discussion about right front.
Tony Raines involved too, Ricky. Raines was involved somehow too. We'll try to get a look at the replay for you. And here's another possible example. You were talking about right front. Raines is obviously down.
Anytime we start a race with this many laps under green, you always wonder about tire wear, particularly on the inside of the right front. I know that's an issue at this track.
It's a big hit, Ricky. We'll have to take a look. Normally when a car hits the wall that hard, something has gone wrong. But we do see Reed moving around in there. Got his window net down. That in NASCAR means that he is okay.
Needs to get out of there. The thing obviously still on fire, but
safety crews coming over to douse that fire right now. That's on the right side of the car, and he is sitting just at the exit of turn number 2 here at this 7/8 mile speedway. That's a good sign. Reed hopping out and walking away. Whew.
He couldn't see the fire, but as a rule of thumb, you always want to get out of the race car with your helmet on, and
he wants to see what that right front looks like. Let's see what we can pick up right here, coming off the corner.
A little scrape off the corner exit, so maybe.
Is that that's Tony Raines right there up in front at the top of your screen. He's having an issue.
Right front went down. You can see it leading all the way into the corner.
So that was one of the yellow cars involved. And here is Sorensen.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
You heard the pop.
Yeah. Sure did. And Ricky, as you were talking about the camber, I hope that's not the reason that the Braun cars have the speed that we're talking about, because if they're all set the same way, they better take a look at the others.
That is such a great point. Drivers love right front camber. It feels good. It's fast.
This is the look from Michael Annette, our in-race reporter, and he sees Sorensen just go straight up.
It feels good. It's fast, but there's no longevity to it.
Well, this is Reed Sorensen again at the exit of turn number 2. And while the safety workers and the cleanup crew go to work over there, they're going to stop the field on the front stretch. It's pretty much to let the folks get their work done over there.
A big enough oil spill also from the middle of 1 and 2 all the way to the exit of 2.
Coming from Sorensen's car. And again, after 44 laps with Kyle Busch, and now Trevor Bayne has actually led 1 lap at the stripe. We saw him battling for that lead. He's actually led 1, but Kyle has led the rest. We're going to take a quick timeout here while the track workers get to work over there. And again, we did see Reed hop out of the car, so he is okay from that standpoint.
Also, Ray, from your perspective, when you're aware of a right front tire failing, doesn't it get your attention on pit road? Don't you start thinking about, okay, if this is a trend, how might I back off the right front, maybe take some load off the right front?
Oh, absolutely. But if it is too much camber, there's not a lot of ways that you can get that out of there. You can make some minor air pressure changes, but without changing the shims and the upper control arm, you really can't change the camber. I think we're going to see guys come in as soon as they open this up and take on 4 tires.
Here's another look for you guys. 32 of Reed Sorensen slowed down. Look at that right front.
You see it go right there with enough force to actually bend the fender blow, and it blows at the worst possible spot in the center of the corner, hard into the wall. But thank goodness now with the new safety, the seats, the soft walls, you saw Reed get out of there and just really disgusted, if nothing else.
And you heard Shannon explain at the beginning of this race, this is the first track that was constructed with safer barrier all the way around. Now, that would have been a pretty common place to put safer barrier, which we're glad for, but this was the first one to do it all the way around the track. And the real insult to that wreck with Reed Sorensen is he was running 12th after starting 27th on the field today, so he'd had a great run toward the front. It's over now for Reed Sorensen. They will take that car home and cut out of it what they can. Reed walked away. He's all right. We'll come back to Iowa. Be sure to get your NASCAR Now this weekend, presented by 5 Hour Energy, tomorrow at 9 a.m. on ESPN2, and tomorrow midnight also on ESPN2. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Pocono, presented by Aaron's, tomorrow 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Coverage begins with Countdown at noon. And don't forget, next Saturday, Nationwide Series racing from Watkins Glen. That's 1:30 Eastern on ESPN. Well, and that caution, of course, gives us a chance to award the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass to a driver who was the first one not on the lead lap, and that was Jeremy Clements. He will be our first Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass award winner. And Jeremy's one of those guys who had a spin here in practice today, but got his car qualified into the field, and is currently showing himself running right now in the 23rd position for Clements. All right, we'll take another break while we're still cleaning up the track. This is Reed Sorensen's view as he headed down into turn 1 just a couple laps ago. Ouch. Never feels good, and Reed is out of the race. Corn, cars, and a crash involving Reed Sorensen to bring out our second caution of the day. Jim Noble has caught up with the driver.
All right, Reed Sorensen is out of the infield care center. We're glad to hear you're okay. And when you blow a tire like that, I guess you're just along for the ride.
Yeah, it's not a fun ride either. Yeah, we blew it right in front there and hit the wall pretty hard. Never raced here before, so I was looking forward to it. I don't even know what position we were in, but we had a pretty good car, passed a lot of cars. And Dollar General car wasn't too bad for not even getting to practice. I think the car had 4 laps of practice on it, but I think the reason we blew right in front was some type of brake cooling issue. Something was going on with our brakes pretty big there, so I don't know if the brake fans weren't working or what kind of issue we had, but I don't think we ran over anything. I think the bead got melted. In the last 5 laps there, I was trying not to use the brakes at all, and it was too late, I think. So just a first DNF for us. Hopefully we don't have any more, but just wish we got to take the Dollar General car a little bit further along, but it's part of it.
Glad to see you're okay.
Thanks.
Reed Sorensen wanted to log a few more laps in his first trip to Iowa.
Pit road is open, and all of the leaders will come down and take the opportunity to work on their race cars. Rick?
Well, Kyle Busch has been complaining tonight about the car, saying it was loose at first and then tight. Now he brings it in. The plan is to take a rubber out, raise the track bar, put in 4 tires. He did say the car's identical to last year's. Beside him, Jason Leffler. In that car, what they're doing is taking a pound out of the right front, a track bar adjustment as well. Further down the lane, the Rookie of the Year candidate, Brian Scott. Well, in that car, all they're doing is an air pressure adjustment in the left rear. Overall, relatively happy with the car. Kyle Busch is gone. Jason Leffler's gone. Brian Scott will be gone in a moment. Shannon?
Trevor Bayne, your pole sitter, was just about to make a run on Kyle Busch. Slight air pressure and 4 tires for the 99.
And here is your nationwide race off of pit road. Kyle Busch will retain that lead. Trevor Bayne will keep the second position. And Brad Keselowski, the championship leader, picks up 2 spots. Drew Herring up 7, big time. Well, the first round of pit stops is done after about a 7-minute red flag for Reed Sorensen's wreck. We'll come back for green flag racing here at Iowa. 3, less than a half a lap away from the restart of this race. That'll be at lap 48. Kyle Busch has led the 46 laps coming up to this point. Trevor Bayne has led 1. Bayne is on the inside. Busch chooses the outside again. Right behind him, Brad Keselowski and Drew Herring on the outside in the 27 car. He only took 2 tires, and we're racing again in Iowa.
As you can see, those 2 tires hurt him on that start. He could not get going as fast as the other cars. We're liable to see some guys get jammed up behind him here.
Cleanly through 1 and 2. Herring maintains that outside position. And down the backstretch, he'll regain a little bit of that ground that he lost. Hanging tight.
He's doing a great job if he can maintain the right rear of Brad Keselowski's, and he didn't.
Keselowski gets the spot in third right now, but Ricky is that was a bold move, gaining 7 positions on pit road. Now it's to maintain, right?
Yeah, and with 2 tires, he's at a disadvantage, but he is really doing an amazing job for this team.
Pressure on the leader. It's from Trevor Bayne, looking down to the inside. Busch under attack.
Yeah, so Trevor has something now that he didn't have at the start of the race, because he didn't have the authority to do that at the very early part of the race. They made a good adjustment for him.
And yet Kyle Busch's team attempted to make his car better too, but Bayne's looked better on this restart side by side through 1 and 2.
Kyle's strength was the short run. He started to fade as they got into lap 30, 35, or 40. Doesn't look as strong. Maybe starting with a little lower air pressure.
Little wiggle off of
wiggle there. He might have been getting tight, and they might have freed him up just a little bit too much there. But hey, if anybody can drive a loose car around there, that guy sitting behind the wheel of the 18 there, Ken.
And he just did. Now back in turns 1 and 2. Again, Bayne looking down to the inside.
I think you're right, Ray. Typically if you're loose, you'll drive in straight. And Kyle's favoring a higher line than what he had before the caution came out.
We've talked about how well this track races. The banking doesn't just shoot up. It's progressively higher banked as you move up. And it provides great racing. Looking back further, that's Menard in the yellow 98. Carl Edwards on the inside in the 60 car. Menard holding down the 9th position. Carl challenging.
And both those guys really driving for the same team. Both those guys came from the Pocono Speedway, made the 1,000-mile-plus trek to get here. But more importantly, Ricky, under that red flag, they probably got to talk a lot more than they normally would.
Yeah, typically you have seconds to communicate to your crew chief what you need for changes. So for the drivers who are really struggling, the red flag was a big opportunity. It allowed them minutes to describe in detail what they needed from their cars. A big advantage for these guys that weren't running so well.
Carl looked good coming off the corner, but Menard had that momentum. Now Carl's going to complete the pass and take over that 9th position. It's a good, clean pass, good, hard racing among teammates as we work lap 54 here at Iowa.
See a great group of young guys right there. Not only Justin Algott, Mike Lynette, but Matt DiBenedetto in the Joe Gibbs Racing number 20 right there, side by side with Brendan Gaughan.
That is a great battle as well. DiBenedetto trying to come off of 2 bad weeks. A wreck at Gateway and an engine problem at ORP, trying to make something of his 5th start for Joe Gibbs Racing this year.
Boy, this is getting really, really busy.
And on the low line is Brendan Gaughan in the 62. What's up with that? Brendan's usually all over the high line, but right now he's working that low side.
Give him time, Dave. Give him time.
Yeah, I don't have high expectations for him on the bottom side.
I get it. High expectations. Very nice. DiBenedetto in that 20 car. Gaughan in the 62. The 12 is Allgaier. Justin Allgaier. Remember last year he had the fastest time, but he was further down in owner's points and ran a great race last year. Came from the back twice with the damaged race car, so he's got high expectations for himself tonight.
I'll be honest, guys. I haven't seen anybody yet that looks really comfortable. That can just power down to the bottom of the racetrack and make a pass in a set of corners.
How about the 70 car of Shelby Howard? Is he not comfortable? He is up 23 positions from the start of this race. He had to go to the back at the start for unapproved adjustments after qualifying, and he's working his way forward.
Well, the reason he had to make those unapproved adjustments, he spun on his second lap, and I believe they had to do a little bit of work on the air dam and things like that. So he's really doing a great job, this young man.
Look at Howard. Power move around the outside of Gaughan. That's another position picked up by the 70.
Wow, he got really loose in the middle. You see, he just gave away everything he had gained.
Didn't he?
and that's the difference between just trying a little bit harder, going back to the gas maybe a car length sooner, and the tires wouldn't support it. The car wouldn't support it.
Brendan Gaughan, Shelby Howard. Gaughan still holding down that 14th position. Howard trying to get it.
It is really, really important to keep the momentum up with these cars. Is that why they run them so stiff on the right rear? Because they're so much less horsepower than the Cup car, and it's not about acceleration, it's about momentum here.
It's about momentum. Keeping that RPM up like you described, Ray, and setting yourself into a rhythm. As a driver, get into a rhythm, you know exactly, almost for feel, where to roll out of the gas, when to roll back into it.
Shelby Howard is through for 14th. Now Gaughan is getting pressure from Mike Bliss in the 40 car.
It's really interesting. We got new names running amongst the middle pack here and mixing it up. And
well, I think the short track does that, doesn't it? I mean, it really allows some guys who are short track aces to really present their product.
That and the fact that we got 3 groups to choose from. And how many tracks can you go to?
There goes Brendan to the top. Maybe not on purpose.
A little too quick and all at once, right?
It just feels better up here.
Mike Bliss, by the way, in that 40 car, he was involved in that early lap 1 caution. Can't get any earlier than that. He's made his way back.
Sometimes you choose to migrate to a different group, and other times when you see a car close in on you, you do it sort of by default. You say, I got to.
I want to let you know, back up front, nothing has changed. Kyle Busch is still the leader. Trevor Bayne still has not been able to track him down. That margin about 4 car lengths now between them. So we show you these great battles in the middle of the pack. And here is the leaders coming off of turn number 2. As we look back, we will pick up Kevin Harvick. He's running in the 5th position, Jim.
Is going crazy on the radio right now to crew chief Ernie Cope. He said this thing is sideways, he's loose, the tires are chattering all over the place. He wants Ernie Cope to completely go back on the adjustments they made on the last pit stop. They made a wedge adjustment, an air pressure adjustment, and Kevin has told everybody in no uncertain terms not to go in that direction again.
Wow. He is getting really close on corner exit. I mean, you can't get a piece of paper between him and the right rear corner.
And right in front of him, Drew Herring. We talked about him a little bit earlier.
Look at the sexton.
Well, he's holding his spot with those 2 right side tires only, Ricky.
He's doing a great job. I'd be distracted by Kevin Harvick in my rearview mirror, but he's doing a great job.
Well, that ought to tell us something for later. You know, it's going to come down to track position. You'll probably see some 2-tire stops later. There's more people than us are watching what that guy's doing right now.
And I have a feeling Drew Herring in that 27, age 23, he's from Benson, North Carolina. When he qualified on the pole here last year for a USAR race and then finished 2nd, there might be a chance that they tried 2 tires that day as well. Rick?
Well, the good news, it wasn't just a 2-tire stop. He's very happy with the handling. They named, as you see the pass right there, and Leffler goes by, and apparently he may be having an issue at this point, because a moment ago they were saying he was totally happy. In fact, not only did they only go for 2 tires, but they made no changes to the car at all. And he'd been running up there very competitively with Jason the whole time. But as you see, just 2 cars just got by him right away.
Well, and that was a one moment in time for Drew Herring after he had held such a solid line for so many laps holding off Harvick. It was just like an all-of-a-sudden moment for the 27 here just a lap or 2 ago.
So now it's all about preserving your position as much as you can. It's not about necessarily fighting these guys lap after lap for position, because he's not on equal footing. He's done his job. Preserve as much as you can until you get back to pit road and equal things out.
He restarted 4th. He fell back to 7th. Watch this right here. Boom. That's where he lost it. What's happening there, Rick?
Yeah, he got loose on corner entry.
I'm sorry, guys, but you know, he might got loose on corner exit, but with a hard tire, it just seems like when you overheat that tire, it takes a while for it to cool down. And for some reason, if you slide that tire, it'll continue to slide till you give it a break and let it cool down. Now, if he's able to drive that thing a little bit straighter and let it cool down, he may be able to maintain his lap times.
And his net gain is still good. He's only lost 3 positions. Remember, he gained 7 on that pit stop before. Meanwhile, looking back, side by side, Matt DiBenedetto in the 20 and Justin Allgaier in the 12. And that is for the 12th position. As you watch Allgaier, remember Verizon Wireless customers can text champion to 43776 for exclusive Champion Chats content from our NASCAR Now Roundtable experts. And Ray, I believe you've been an expert on the NASCAR Roundtable from time to time.
It depends on who you talk to.
Maybe if you talk to Allgaier right now, he'd say you were.
Well, I think he's having a pretty good day, really. Spoke to this kid earlier today. Really impressed with the good head on his shoulders. He seems to communicate his car well. He's doing a really good job. Again, in a backup car, didn't panic, knew what he needed, working with crew chief Chad Walters. Did not get a lot of practice as much as they wanted on that car, but really having a good, solid run.
I enjoy talking to him, Ray, because everything he's told me has come true. It's been proven to be fact. He told me earlier, I'm going to run the middle of the racetrack because I'm comfortable there and my tires don't give up as quickly. He's been running the middle of the groove since the drop of the green flag.
Well, obviously, you know, Roger Penske's a smart guy, and he saw something in this kid, grabbed him up as soon as he won the ARCA championship, put him in a nationwide car, and he's grooming him for better things at Penske Racing. Doing an awesome job.
In a backup car, like I said earlier.
Here's for the lead, Trevor Bayne looking to the inside now of Kyle Busch. And through 1 and 2, it's going to be side by side, guys.
Wow, what an amazing move, again, for a young man. He's having a career day right there so far for him, racing side by side with Kyle Busch.
It's the next test for him to be able to match talent like Kyle Busch, door to door, lap after lap, and use very good composure here and say, no, not yet. Back off. This is where Johnny Benson comes into the equation. Johnny's saying, okay, give it 3 or 4 more laps. He's fading. You're going to get it.
You know what really bothers me about that, though? If you add both those guys up together, I think I'm still 10 years older than that.
Kyle Busch maintaining the lead. Lap 73 completed right now. Bain still with the pressure. Remember, Bain was on the pole to start this race, but never had the lead at the beginning. He has led 2 laps total at the start-finish line, but he's not been able to overpower Kyle Busch at this point. 2 very good race cars.
They both have to take claim to a certain part of the racetrack and give each other some room. They're doing that.
Also, a good time to, again, throw a shout-out to our buddy Rusty Wallace along with the other people here at Iowa Speedway. What they've done with the banking at this racetrack has allowed the guys to race like that, side by side, keep up their momentum, keep space between those cars, and really put on a good show.
Yeah, Rusty's proud of this racetrack, and he should be. The fact that it's sold out is quite an endorsement for the job that they did.
If you missed the shots of the crowd earlier, last year they had a complete sellout, as we see now, the 99 of Bain taking the lead. This year they had a little standing room only left over, but every seat was sold here. I don't think they're using them right now as Bain takes the lead away from Busch.
Trevor is gaining a lot of respect from Kyle Busch. Veteran drivers or drivers with a lot of experience like Kyle will size you up. They'll make you earn it. They won't give you anything. But lap after lap, Trevor Bain has handled it like a veteran, and he says, okay, take the spot. Now I'm going to test you from the low side.
Shannon, you've got more?
Well, guys, you remember the first run, Trevor Bain's car was actually a little bit better on the long run. In fact, he tried to make this pass right before the caution came out. One thing that really impresses me with Trevor Bain, we've been following him since he started in the Nationwide Series, is his ability to tell his crew chief, Jerry Baxter, right there on the right-hand side, what he needs out of the car. When the caution came out, he told Jerry, I am beating him in 1 and 2. I am a little bit loose off, explaining the track, telling him where he was better than Kyle Busch. They made a slight air pressure adjustment and 4 tires, and you see now that car is coming to life. But guys, I think I remember another 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid who really knocked our socks off in the Nationwide Series. His name, I think, was Kyle Busch.
Yeah, there's no question about that, Shannon. As we watch this battle continue, they get around the 83 there of Johnny Borneman.
It's a reflection on talent when a driver can give you detailed information while he's battling for the lead. I tell you, the majority of drivers slow down when they get on the radio, but the best of drivers do not give up 1/100th of a second when they're still giving specific descriptions of what they're lacking or what they need.
And I'll tell you, a guy like Jerry Baxter, there's no better feeling for a veteran crew chief than you get a young guy that's got a ton of talent like that, and you can help move his career along by adding experience. It's a great feeling. I know that right now that guy's got to be having a good time.
And can Trevor Bain win? Remember 2 races ago at Gateway, career best finish of 3rd. And we talked about the way he needs to finish off these races. The 18, well, he knows how to win. Can Trevor close the deal?
He's gaining credibility every lap, every race, and just think about what he's doing right here, right this moment. He's matching a guy that has already won 8 races this season. He's getting great experience.
And in traffic here, this is getting pretty difficult.
And what they're going to have to do then to beat Kyle Busch, he's going to have to match him on the adjustments. He's going to have to make.
And that was
that's not going to have to make any moves like that.
Ooh, man.
He's going to have to make sure that he gives the proper information to Jerry Baxter and his crew to continue to adjust that car as the sun goes down and the racetrack cools off.
3 wide, you're in the middle. I'm sure a spotter was saying that just a moment ago. 14th place battle on the right side of your screen as well. Mike Bliss showing that point card very well for Curtis Key this weekend. That's a good run for them.
Mike is doing a great job in a car that's obviously less funded than most of what he's competing against.
No, absolutely, and they're glad to be running as well as they are here. Mike, very good on the less than a mile tracks as you look back at Kyle Busch on the left of your screen now as Trevor tries to put some distance between himself and the 2nd place runner, but it has been tough. Well, Trevor Bain has led, just over 100 or so laps in his career. Most of them have come in the last 3 races as the youngster continues to lead the veteran here at Iowa. Like we mentioned before, you can get a double dose of ESPN Sunday and Monday night Major League Baseball coverage. Andre Ethier and the Dodgers taking on the Giants and Buster Posey. That is Sunday night at 8 Eastern. And then NL East rivals on Monday Night Baseball. That's the Mets and the Braves, Wright versus Hayward. And all of this is also available on ESPN3.com. Somebody's been swinging for the fences here at Iowa so far, and it's young Trevor Bayne, the 19-year-old, leading Kyle Busch at this point as they cross 90 laps completed in this 250-lap event. Keselowski runs third, Harvick fourth, Leffler fifth. Brian Scott is in the sixth position right now, and Kyle trying to find his way back to the front.
Again, to put this in perspective, Trevor Bayne is leading. He's got Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, and Kevin Harvick chasing him. That says it all, doesn't it?
And I'll tell you, as the sun's going down, we're starting to see the lap times come down and down and down. And some of the guys who were screaming about their car, like Kevin Harvick, are turning some really fast laps right now, as fast as the leader.
Speeds are going up, and then obviously the drivers are communicating back to their crew chiefs on the way the adjustments might be changing too. Which way is my car going, right?
Yeah, you're gaining grip. You're doing some different things with your feet as the track cools down. And you're going to see cars like the 12 car, in this case, moving forward. He likes the changes he's getting from the track, and it's more of a track thing now than it is the car. Of course, your car is reacting to the grip that the track's offering.
And remember, this is a feeling that they didn't have last year. This race was run completely in the daylight hours, and a big-time collision between Brian Keselowski in the 26 and Colin Brown. Mark Green in the 49 also involved, and Brendan Gaughan, who was having a great run after starting 25th, had worked his way up through the field. The 16 car is another one who went to a backup today after a qualifying crash. Colin Brown is going to be done for the day.
Boy, that was a big hit.
Wow. Hope there are. Wow, not great weekend for Roush Fenway nationwide.
That is four. Is that right? 4 cars now destroyed. 2 by the 16, 2 by the 6. And remember, Ricky Stenhouse is running a backup car that was in Carl Edwards' hauler before the day started. There is the safety crew attending to Brian Keselowski, but he's got the window net down. That was a big impact on the left front of that race car. And this all happening just off of turn 2. Seems to turn 2 seems to be the trouble spot so far here tonight. There's Colin Brown hopping out, and that's a good sign. Let's see if we can see what happened. Ooh, Brown up in the wall.
Looks like another failed right front tire, the way the car shot.
Here comes Keselowski. Bang.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we talk about this being a short track, but that illustrates how fast a track it is.
And look at Paul Menard. He was running up in the top group too, along with the black and yellow car that's gone. They were running well and just got caught up in that.
And another component of hard tires is you can't do anything quick. You can't brake. You can't steer left or right.
Oh, wow. That's a hard impact. And then you see sliding up on the top, there comes Menard.
Which gives you an idea of just how fast this place is. The guys have said it's actually much faster than Richmond because of that banking in the bigger corner.
Whoa, Steve Arpin making a great save, dirt tracking we could say, coming off of turn number 2, and he avoids the carnage. On board with Carl Edwards. Michael Annett takes you through turn 2. Miss it. Wow, that was close. And he had to just bargain on the fact that the 16 was coming down the track. Man, oh man. Well, this is the second time we've been under the red here tonight to go ahead and let the safety crews and the track cleanup crew go to work off of turn 2.
So you go back to the 15 car and you say, how did it get through there? Well, you depend on a spotter. You do not want the spotter to tell you where to go unless it's absolutely desperate. You want the spotter to tell you where that car is. That's why he was able to move to the high side and find that little opening.
You know, one of the other guys involved was Mark Green, who is shown in the 31st position right now. Mark doesn't typically run all the laps, but it stayed out there most of the time. We should mention that Jeff Green, his brother, Dennis Setzer, Chase Miller, Tim Schendel, Brad Baker, Danny O'Quinn Jr., and Kevin LePage, they all parked early tonight. We have a couple other cars out of the race for incidents, and there is one more. That's Brian Keselowski, and thankfully he has hopped out and walked away. Well, while we're under our second red flag here at Iowa Speedway, we'll reset things here. Let these folks go to work and let Colin Brown and the rest of them who were involved think about what might have been here at the Iowa Speedway. sun setting at the Iowa Speedway. Welcome back to the U.S. Cellular 250 presented by Northland Oil and John Deere. And you'll be able to review this race and get all your other NASCAR information on NASCAR.com. Make sure you log on and learn. We've had 2 red flags now this weekend, and we've had 2 Aaron's Lucky Dogs, and they've both been Jeremy Clements. Right place, right time for the 0-4 tonight. And Jeremy, once again, was the first car not on the lead lap. He gets the Lucky Dog free pass, sponsored by Aaron's. That'll put him back on the lead lap, which is a good thing. Maybe he can maintain it a little bit longer this time. We're going to show you some replays, see what happened, some reactions from down on pit road. There is Colin Brown, and here comes Keselowski with nowhere to go. Whoa, and look at it. Stephen just missing that. Stephen Wallace. Here's another look at it. Brown has spun coming off of 2. Keselowski's in the white 26. Nails the back end, and then others narrowly miss. Unfortunately, 49 of Green, the 62 of Gone, and the 98 of Bernard are not among them. See Steve Arpin there. That was Arpin missing it, yep. How hard is that, Ray?
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, it'd be really hard for me, you know, with a good race car driver like that, but that's looking ahead, thinking ahead. You see a little bit of frustration here. Colin's a great little race driver, but he's had a very frustrating week.
I guess I should have asked you, driver. How hard is that to miss a wreck like that?
It's very difficult on a hard tire because, again, you can't do anything really quick, and a lot of times it gets you in trouble. If you make a quick reaction, get on the brake too hard, you become part of the caution. I was very impressed with what he did there. That's instinctive. You do that. You don't think about it. You just do it.
If you weren't with us earlier, in practice today, Ricky Stenhouse in the 6 car for Roush Fenway Racing. He was the first caution during practice, wrecked that car, went to a backup, eventually wrecked his car. I believe it was in qualifying as well, Stenhouse did. And then Colin Brown wrecked a car in qualifying, and now that one is toast. That's 4 cars written off for Roush Fenway Racing in the Nationwide Series this weekend. There is the damaged car of Mark Green. He will not return tonight. He was having a pretty good run staying out there in the 49 car. Well, the field is still under the red flag. They're still cleaning up, making the Iowa Speedway race ready once again for the kind of action we've seen all night long. Come back. The day for Colin Brown at the Iowa Speedway has not gone well. This was his qualifying run. He is in the wall. They went to a backup car, and Colin had to start in the rear of the field. This is lap 93. This just happened. Colin spins off of turn number 2. He is clocked by Keselowski in the white 26 right there. Everybody walks away, but that was a big hit and major frustration from Colin. Jim Noble's caught up with him.
Well, Dave, Colin Brown was watching the same replay we all were just then, and I guess the weekend to forget is mercifully over. That was a hard hit. How are you, first of all?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. You know, it was a bad day for that number 16 3M Ford Fusion. Feel really bad for those guys. You know, we just struggled really bad in practice, threw a bunch of stuff at it for qualifying, and got to the other side of that and got free and wrecked. And you know, I hate that for all those guys. But, you know, we were just struggling a little bit in the race then. We tried a totally different package again, and we just ended up blowing a left front tire, right front tire. And, you know, you're kind of along for the ride after that. And, unfortunately, I guess those guys didn't see me. So I hate it for all the cars that got tore up in that wreck. But, you know, hate it more for my guys. You know, I mean, man, they worked hard. And, you know, unfortunately, I guess that's just the way it goes. So hopefully, you know, Jack, if you're watching, hopefully you get better soon, and we see you back here at the track.
You know, both you and Ricky had seemingly turned a corner on all this after a tough beginning of the year. Is this just a one-week aberration?
Well, you know, I think I guess I can only speak for myself. You know, I feel like we just missed it this whole week. You know, we just didn't have the cars that we needed to have. I didn't do a good enough job working with my crew chief, Ricky Vyers, to get my car driving like it should have. And you know, we just were off a little bit all week, and you know, it's tough when you get a practice shortened up like that. So really disappointing, and I feel like it's just a little bump in the road. You know, we've had 7 really good last races, and we can't let something like this get us down because we got some good momentum going.
Thanks for your time, and guys, we're hearing from NASCAR about 5 minutes before they start the cars back up.
All right, thanks, Jim. Yeah, the cleanup getting finished out there. Trevor Bayne is scored as the leader. He waits for the command to go back racing as Steve Wallace sits in his car in 9th position. There is Carl. Support the Troops program. When you're there, you can send a thank you message from a NASCAR driver to a friend or family member serving their country and enter for a chance to win a 2011 Ford Taurus and more. I thought the tires were cool, and I think the program's pretty cool as well. Ricky, why don't you see if we can get in touch with Michael Annette, our in-race reporter, and see what's going on out there.
It's a great idea. You had a close call here. Michael Annette, Ricky Craven with the ESPN booth. Have you got me?
10-4, Ricky.
You've had a solid run so far, Michael, but a really close call off of turn 2. What was it like for you? Did you get a bunch of help there with your spotter?
Yeah, definitely, and luckily, Steve over here next to me had just cleared me. I saw him lock his brakes up, and I actually saw that before I saw the 16, and then it's just kind of one of those deals. You're hoping the smoke clears, and they hold the brake. And Colin, he actually he did get the brake. He could have washed back up into us. So we got lucky, but the spotter did a good job, and we live to keep going here.
Well, you had one chance at it, and you did it right. So great job there. How about the race car and the track, and maybe a little issues with right front tires? You feeling anything that concerns you?
We've been fine so far, but I think some of those guys that are using up the right sides might be running a little bit higher than I am. It seems like my car, it likes the bottom. It was just a little too snug center out to run the top, and anytime you run up there, you can use your right front tire up pretty quick. But we're happy with the way our tires looked after that long run, but we are getting some long green flag runs, and sometimes problems like that are just inevitable.
Michael, thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
We do want to let you know we've showed you those replays with a lot of cars being wrecked, and whether they've been treated and released, as NASCAR may have told us, or in Brendan Gaughan's case, he drove to the garage. Everyone is okay after that wreck. Here on lap number 93. Brendan is standing by now with Jim.
Well, Dave, I'd use the term innocent bystander to describe Brendan Gaughan, but I know it won't make you feel any better. You just had nowhere to go and no time to react, it looked like.
No, I mean, I just watched the replay, and Carl Edwards went right through the hole that I was aiming for, and I saw Brian Keselowski lock him up, and when I saw him sliding into his door, I knew the hole was going to close. And it's a bummer. The South Point Camry tonight was running top 5 times. We were just really loose, really early in runs. Battle through that, and then the thing would just start passing everybody on the outside, making an outside groove, and Rusty built one heck of a racetrack with an outside groove, and our Camry was going to be there at the end of the night. Just one of those things. Every time we run good, we just can't put consecutive weeks back to back, man. It's killing us. I know you mentioned that your car owner designed this place. What is it about this place? Because every guy, even when guys wreck, they come back and say, man, I love Iowa Speedway. It's a great racetrack. I mean, it's very raceable. We were 3 wide a couple times, and I mean, it is a 3-groove racetrack, and it may even get more someday. But the best thing about this place is what the folks on television can't see. Is there is probably 50,000 tents and awnings that all have Big Ten college logos on them. And the fans took this like a Big Ten sporting event. They were tailgating all day. They've been here since 9 o'clock this morning. And when fans show up to the middle of Iowa in an Iowa cornfield for a racetrack like this, you gotta appreciate the fans and the track. All right, Brendan Gaughan pumped up even though his race is over. Let's go over to Shannon.
Well, Jim, they've just refired engines as you watch the 99 car go by. We're up here with his crew chief, Jerry Baxter. 19-year-old Trevor Bayne leading the race right now. So how do you make a good car even better?
We're going to kind of leave it alone right now. The old Aaron's Toyota's running really well. He doesn't really want any adjustments. He's just going to school. You know, he's been learning from the best tonight, following Kyle all that time, and the car's just pretty good.
Johnny Benson also up on the pit box talking him through this race. What do you think about what you've seen out of Trevor Bayne so far? He is really making some moves on Kyle Busch.
He's listening a lot. Johnny Benson's worth his weight in gold at the moment, so I got to go.
Okay, Dave Burns.
Shannon, he's got to go because pit road has been opened by NASCAR. Got some safety equipment exiting the track right in front of the field, but Ray, I got to believe everyone's going to come down pit road.
Yeah, especially after what we've seen in tires. I think the guys are going to come in. You might see some more people do 2 tires based on what we saw with Drew Herring, but a lot of these guys with fast cars will probably do 4, because one of the things you can't count on is how much debris was left from that wreck that you run through. Here they come.
Let's go down to Jim.
It'll be a 4 tire stop for Kevin Harvick, who needs to get going on restarts. Needs a little bit of grip. They're on the right side. They'll go around and change the left side. Pack this one full of Sunoco fuel. Harvick's been complaining about the car all day long, but it's been running top 5 most of the day, Rick.
I'll tell you, Kyle Busch has also been complaining about the car. They put the Sunoco fuel in. Their problem, loose early, tight late. They're trying to adjust and fix that, Shannon.
Brad Keselowski, your points leader, dealing with loose all day. They're going to get a little aggressive track bar and a wedge adjustment. 4 tires for the 22. You see Trevor Bayne at the top of your screen. No changes, as you just heard Jerry Baxter say.
Oh, and Kyle is going to get the lead. He picks up a spot. Trevor is going to lose that one spot. Keselowski and Harvick hold station in 3rd and 4th spot. Sometimes you win it on the track. Right now, Kyle Busch has gotten the lead back off of pit road. On top of the pace car, and your field is coming to the green. Look at the pit comparison. Kyle just 0.2 of a second quicker on that stop, guys. We're not going to go green right now, so let's analyze this. Trevor was better on the right side, but worse on the jack, and worse on the left side.
So the left side is affected by the jack, isn't it, right?
Yeah, it just, again, it's amazing what these guys are doing with pit stops, breaking it down like that, working on special positions. I mean, you're talking about 0.2 of a second has changed to lead in this race. 0.2 of a second, guys.
Under pressure in the heat of the moment, these guys working that hard and doing these pit stops, it's not easy. Hey, I want to bring up something that Ray was talking about right before the pit stops occurred. Ricky, he talked about taking 4 tires because you don't know about the debris. Think about that from a driver's perspective?
Yeah, Ray made an excellent point, and it put me back in the driver's seat. Anytime there's been a big wreck, and the crew chief will come on and say, before we pit, hey, did you go through any debris? If you're within 30 yards of it, you say, oh, yeah, absolutely. I need 4.
Give me 4, give him 2 now. And I don't think...
Typical driver.
Yeah. Oh, he's very typical. All right, let's get a tire update from Jim.
Guys just got done speaking to some Goodyear officials, and they're saying that the wrecks for Reed Sorensen and Colin Brown were both caused by melted beads on the tires. Now, they're not saying that that's because teams aren't running brake fans or teams are just putting too much load on the tire. There's too much heat with the brakes, but they are saying that they have looked at both of those tires, and definitely melted tire beads caused both those wrecks.
Great, Jim. Thanks for checking on that for us. As we go back to green here, we will note that no one took 2 tires on that round of pit stops. Least of all, your leaders, Kyle Busch, now leading the field again into turn number 1.
This is the 3rd time these two have lined up side by side. Initial start, 2 restarts. And every time Trevor's getting a little bit better.
And look at this, better into turn 3. Already challenging back for that lead. Using the inside line, Trevor Bayne trying to get the lead back. He's led only 4, he's led actually 50 laps tonight. He tries to work on Busch.
But guess what? Kevin Harvick is coming into the equation. Talk about getting better. He's getting more and more. He might not be broadcasting it, but he's getting more and more comfortable in his car.
And what did Jim say? He wanted the car to take off better. Looks like Ernie Cope has done that for him.
But I'll tell you, we've got 2 nationwide regulars with Steve Wallace and Trevor Bayne battling. Whoa.
And Bayne better watch that left rear tire because he's got the veteran Kevin Harvick bumping on him.
Even though he didn't hit him, you can feel that. When the front of a car,
are you sure he didn't hit him?
Well, maybe, but you can still feel it. When the front of a car gets that close to your left rear, you can feel the air come over on your spoiler.
Here comes Harvick. Keselowski to his outside, but Harvick trying to work that low line on Bayne. Keselowski now definitely in the picture, and nearly contact between him and Harvick coming off the corner. We've got room for 3, but not in that situation. And Bayne way up in that high side.
Let's give some credit to Steve Wallace. He's gotten better and better as the race has gone along.
Well, he's taking a look at this. I don't know if he wants to be S. He does want to be in on it, and he's going to go to the low side.
So now we're going to try 3 wide.
And he backs off for the moment, watching this battle. First place Busch is about 10 car lengths out. This is for second. Trevor Bayne in the 99. Brad Keselowski in the 22 making a hard charge now on the outside.
Trevor Bayne didn't ask for any adjustments. And I was going to go to you, Ray, and say, can he afford to do that as the track's cooling down? Can he afford not to make any adjustments?
Well, that's like when we said before, can he win? And then we said he's got to be able to keep up with the track adjustments. You know, the thing that he's fighting right now with all those Cup guys is the fact that they've had another shot to adjust on their cars. That's why I'm so impressed with Steve-O, as they call him. Young Steve Wallace is battling side by side, certainly with Kevin Harvick. You know, Steven's had a great kind of a breakout year. He's been really fast, but a little bit inconsistent, but he's getting closer and closer. He's due to win. I know it would mean a lot to him here. As he takes over 4th place from Kevin Harvick. You know that Rusty's got to be watching this thing just yelling and screaming.
That's cool. Kevin cut him a break there. Steven got a little bit loose. Kevin cut him a break and let him slide up in front of him.
Got a spinner on the front straightaway here, guys.
98 car.
And that is Paul Menard, and he has stayed on the lead lap. even through all that damage, and unfortunately now with this spin, he's going to stay in the lead lap again. He doesn't hit anything coming down through the front straightaway, but going through the grass there, Menard now brings out the 4th caution of the afternoon.
And we can see how torn up the right side of that car was from an earlier wreck. Again, going back to how important downforce is. You know, that car must be incredibly loose being that tore up on the right.
Exactly. Yes, he stayed on the lead lap, but the fact is the car isn't driving like it did before.
We talked about the fact at the beginning of this race how this is technically a short track, but it operates a lot like a super speedway, and you guys are talking about it here with aerodynamics.
And which might be a little bit, or have a little bit to do with that tire issue that we've seen, because part of a speedway package is not to have big brake duct openings. So if they're going faster, they're putting a lot of heat into the brakes as they're using it, and if the cars have smaller ducts on to help that aerodynamic downforce, they might be overheating the bead in that tire. Inside the tire is actually a cable, a metal bead, and if that overheats, it melts the rubber and it'll blow out the tire.
We've seen that happen several times tonight for our cautions, and that could be the reason for it. Thanks, Ray, for that explanation. All right, as we go to break one more time, under our 4th caution here at the Iowa Speedway, your leader, Kyle Busch. Back at Iowa Speedway for tonight's running of the U.S. Cellular 250 presented by Northland Oil and John Deere. Your race leader is Kyle Busch. The points leader still Brad Keselowski. Highest running rookie Brian Scott. And on the move, that car of Shelby Howard. I'm going to show you the reason we're under caution. Paul Menard spinning down, and it looks like just gets off of that car right in front of him. I think it was Mike Wallace, and then spins down to the inside grass.
Well, no harm, no foul. Didn't make any more contact, but if he's going to have a good night, they're going to have to get the body fixed up a little bit better, get that air back on the rear spoiler for him.
Menard now shown running on the lead lap in the 22nd position. Remember, he was involved in our 3rd caution as well. Contact coming off of turn number 2 when Colin Brown was involved.
A great opportunity for Stephen Wallace behind Kyle Busch on the high side, which seemed to be favored.
Lap 111 complete now. Busch with the advantage through 1 and 2. And here comes Steve Wallace. Ray, you talked about him before. He's now got that momentum on the outside line and looks like he could challenge those front 2.
Yeah, it would be a great night. Steven's already got a win here. He won an ARCA race a few years ago. But he's got some laps here. And remember, his dad designed this track, so what better place for him to win his first race out?
I think he might have let him in the gate, and he probably slept in the grandstands here a couple times, too. That can be worth something.
Only 2 drivers have gained more points in the last 8 races than Stephen Wallace. That tells you a little bit about the momentum he has coming into the weekend.
Wallace running 3rd, trying to chase down Bain in 2nd. Kyle Busch still leading. Busch has been led the most laps, 88 so far tonight. And when Kyle has led the most laps on an evening, it works out well for him here in 2010.
Steven said he was going to stay down at the bottom, and it looks like his car is really fast. He is hugging that bottom, just like he said he was going to.
It's true. We talked to both he and Brendan before the weekend started. They came here with 2 completely different setups. This looks to be the right one.
You look at the Braun Racing teammates, 38 of Leffler right there, and the 11 of Brian Scott. Leffler running in the 8th position, Scott in the 9th. Just ahead of them, Matt DiBenedetto. The 2nd best running Joe Gibbs Racing car here tonight. Kyle Busch being the first of those. There's Matt. Matt doing a good job here tonight. And this is for the lead. Bain again making his move. Kyle's car started off better. Bain looking to the inside. And Kyle holding that outside line. He doesn't want to give that up.
We have seen this over and over. These guys are giving and taking, showing a lot of respect toward one another. And when they get side by side, they slow down, which opens the opportunity for Steven and Brad Keselowski.
And one of our points leader, Keselowski, I don't know what we see him in tonight. As he works to the outside of Steve Wallace now, looks like he's going to get 3rd. Like his car is coming to him, right?
It is. As we said, they've had a little bit more time. He got to come back down pit road, make some minor adjustments. Remember, these guys, the first laps they made were qualifying, so they needed to adjust those cars. And as the sun goes down and it gets cooler, they continue to adjust. Shannon, have you got more on the 22?
Yeah, guys, this 22 car has been a handful for Brad Keselowski tonight. On the first pit stop, they went 2 rounds down on the track bar and also made an air pressure adjustment. Still very loose all over the racetrack. So on the last pit stop, they went back and made another track bar adjustment. So right now, as we see, I think it's just the adjustments that are really coming into play, and also, obviously, like you said, the changing track temperature.
Shannon, I'll tell you who else was loose at this restart was the 18 of our leader, Kyle Busch. We saw Trevor Bayne make a move and get to him. There might have been a reason. Watch this, guys. Whoa! On board with Bayne, and he sees the opportunity, doesn't he, Ricky?
Yeah, he sees the opportunity. He knows where Kyle's vulnerable now. He'll try to take advantage of it, but Kyle Busch runs out front so much in the lead that we don't get to speak of his ability and, how difficult the car is sometimes. His teammates running back toward 10th. That gives us an example of, even though it looks easy, he is on the edge.
And Ray, what was the spark there? We saw as he grabbed it, there was a spark.
Well, as you turn the car to the right and it unloads, underneath it could have drug sway bar arm. They run these things so close to the ground, coil bound. The front end is on the ground. They start maybe 6 inches of height under the air dam and completely seal against the racetrack. So when they move, when they rock back and forth left to right, could drag just about anything.
And as the track cools down and they speed up, carry more speed into the corner, it could get exaggerated, couldn't it?
Oh, yeah. And when you think about you're running down that corner at 150 miles an hour, the last thing you want to do is think about the gas pedal when you're turning right. Right.
Stephen Wallace gives up fourth now, and that back to Harvick. Wallace was on the charge early, and here is a battle for second brewing, as now Keselowski is going to look to the inside of Bayne. And then go nose to nose right now. Bayne still with the advantage coming off the corner.
Trevor spent most of the night on the bottom of the racetrack, the low side. Be interesting to see how he manages this.
Well, who's held him off on the high side all night, right? Kyle Busch has run very well up there.
A little bit of a twitch from the 22 there on corner entry. Had to roll out of it. Regain his composure.
You can see, I think these guys have got the cars a little bit free, anticipating that as the sun goes down even more and the track cools off, that it's going to get a little bit tight. Might be a little bit free as they pinch it off on the bottom underneath of another race car.
Well, Ray, we're approaching the halfway point right now, and with these racetracks, as the sun goes down, as the temperatures cool, generally speaking, we're going to find out who has the best second half race car, right?
Yeah, and again, that communication, this is where the experience of the Cup guys really comes into play. They run a lot of races, they communicate a lot with their crew chiefs, and they know what to expect. A guy like Trevor Bayne doesn't really have a lot of races under his belt, especially going from day to night. So he's going to have to rely on maybe Johnny Benson and Jerry Baxter helping him up, talking him into making some changes there on his race car.
And there's a reason that Brad Keselowski and Paul Wolf are leading the point standings, and they've completed all but one lap this year. They have great dialogue, and Paul missed that during practice. He had some great help, but it's nothing like his primary driver because they've put up big numbers all year long.
And you are very complimentary of Paul Wolf. Paul Wolf may be one of the brightest guys in the garage area, but you had a theory on that, Ricky.
Yeah, I love the way he works. I love the way he goes about his business. But, I do. I think that the former drivers are some of the best crew chiefs. And I used you as an example. Andy Petrie's another example. But, you understand the language the driver uses. I think it gives you a head start. And you could speak to it better than anybody, right?
Well, really, the only thing my driving did for me was make me a better fabricator because I had to fix and wreck race cars all the time. But that's a whole nother story.
There is nothing bet on these race cars right now as Harvick now looks to the inside on the right side of your screen. Here's 7th place on the left side up for contention right now. Carl Edwards holding down that spot. He is being pressured by the 11 of Brian Scott and Matt DiBenedetto waiting in the wings. And there's the 12 of Allgaier as well.
Charles, who are these young guys? I've got all these kids, chasing me down. What a great job some of these young guys are doing. We spoke to Brian Scott, great young man. Again, there's just a ton of talent waiting in the wings in this nationwide series. We were so excited to hear Joe Ballas talk today about some of the things that could be coming up. They know how important this series is to bringing new talent into NASCAR, and here you're seeing it on the racetrack, guys.
And one of the things that they've talked about, and there's been a buzz about this for a couple of years now, because the last 4 champions have been Sprint Cup drivers who have run all the Sprint Cup laps and then have won the championships here in Nationwide. Part of it is to highlight the younger guys and maybe not award as many points as we see Edwards down to the inside now of Brian Scott, maybe limiting their involvement in this series for the younger guys' benefit.
Absolutely, to give those guys an opportunity to get more exposure, more experience, and create opportunities. But we see a great race going on between Trevor Bayne, Brad Keselowski, and now Kevin Harvick's jumped in that party.
But make no mistake about it, guys. When you look to the right of your screen, Trevor Bayne is benefiting from being able to race against Keselowski, Kevin Harvick. For me, back in 93, 94, when I finished second in points, I got better because I raced against Harry Gant, Dale Earnhardt Sr., Mark Martin. I didn't want to do it every week, but I benefited from it when I raced against it.
So you don't pull them out all together, and I bet the 40,000 plus who are here to see the race tonight don't want them pulled out all together either.
Right.
They want to see those superstars. Well, we're seeing a great battle right now as the young kid, the 19-year-old Trevor Bayne in that 99 car, holding off Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick. Again, Bayne spent an hour and a half this morning on the racetrack. Keselowski and Harvick commuted from the Pocono raceway to get down here, jumped in their cars for qualifying. Coming to him later in the race here. De Benedetto taking over 8th position from Edwards, or does he?
We have seen this all night, side by side. Drivers capable of getting underneath one another, but not able to clear the driver.
Well, Matty D is cleared of the 60 car. Shannon?
Well, you guys discussed the fact that he has had some poor runs the past 2 weeks. In fact, last week finished 31st, a career worst. The advice he got from his crew chief, memory loss is good in racing. He said, you're only as good as your next race. Look forward and focus on this race here tonight. So far, the car has been very good. Just a little bit on the tight side, but they've definitely been working on it. Ricky Ray, you guys might be able to talk about the memory loss.
Yeah, that's not funny. But as I looked at that picture of Matt De Benedetto, is he old enough to race? Was that kid old enough to race?
Barely. But let's bring some clarity to this. I think that Shannon was speaking about you and I driving back to the airport and getting lost 3 times.
Well, with all the years of racing experience, we should have some great stories, Ricky, but unfortunately we can't remember.
All that racing experience and getting lost on the way to the airport. Very interesting.
Look at this racing.
It's awesome.
You can tell I enjoy the racing when I'm driving from up here.
Yeah, I've watched your hand motions. Yep, very much so. Harvick still has that inside line. I'm trying to think. I mean, Ray, what would you, both of you, what would you set your car up to do here? Would you run the low line or would you set it up for the high line?
Well, I'll tell you what, right now it looks like you better have your car set up to run both those lines because you're going to have to move all over the racetrack. I think what we're seeing, though, the most important thing was to be able for the driver to hold on to the car as it was free enough early so it would be tighter later. We saw how free Kyle Busch was early in the runs, and now his car he's got the biggest lead that anybody's had all night. So these other guys are probably going to have to adjust on their cars a little bit.
So as the track is getting cooler, I'm saying, Ray, I'm getting better middle of the corner off. I'm getting better with my bite off the corner. I need you to tighten me up so I can drive a little deeper. I got to be able to make the pass, getting in and clear them getting off.
Well, we've got a couple of pit stops under our belt, so I'm going to go back and look at what our tire pressure was. We're maybe going to raise the track bar. There's not a lot of wedge factor, as we see.
That was a good corner for Harvick, not such a good corner for Keselowski, was it?
Really not a lot of wedge adjustments on these cars because the fronts are coil bound. Yes, you see them bouncing. That just means that they've got a rather solid suspension. But they're going to want to free those things up. Again, we talk about momentum. They don't have the power to get them up off the corner, so they've got to keep the car free and not drag the RPM down.
Kevin Harvick moves the 33 car into the 3rd position. He's got his sights set on Trevor Bayne. And this guy, the ever-present Kyle Busch. Yeah, let's take a look at our 5-hour Energy Rapid recap. This was lap number 1, the 21 of Morgan Shepherd, the 10 of Taylor Mollison with contact there. Mike Bliss also avoiding on the high side. And then this is the first right front tire to really get our attention with Reed Sorensen, Ray.
Yeah, we're looking at guys having a brake heat problem, actually burning the bead out of the tire, causing the tire to go down. As you see, it happens to Colin Brown, which starts an incredibly big wreck.
And Brown gets hit by Brian Keselowski right there in the 26 car. And that was another one of our caution. And frustrating day for him. He'd lost a car in qualifying already. That was his second one of the evening. Kyle Busch is our leader. We are at lap 143 at this point as he tries to put Jeremy Clements a lap down. We are going to take you up to speed, starting with the 5th place running car. That is Jason Leffler, and we hear from Rick.
Well, that's right. Jason Leffler out there had to struggle a little bit early, but he's very happy. He says the car is in good shape now. He says his real goal right now is just to get the track position. As you can see, being up in 5th place, that track position is coming into shape. The bottom line for him now, stay up with those guys and hope that the car stays this good the rest of the way. Shannon?
Well, Stephen Wallace qualified 5th for this race this evening, and he is having a great run, currently running 6th. I spoke with Stephen today. I asked him what the biggest reason for his improvement over the past couple races. He's had back-to-back top 10s. He said patience. Little thing goes a long way. He said the cars haven't been the best, but they have been patient and waited the race out. Rick?
Well, let's talk about Brian Scott, the man leading in Rookie of the Year at this point. Early on, liked the car quite a bit. Now he's not saying a whole lot other than the fact the car is still tight in the center. It's loose off. They did have a concern. He had a concern about the brake pedal. Said it was getting long, but the team is satisfied that that's not a serious problem. Shannon?
Matt DiBenedetto turned 19 on Tuesday, celebrating his victory right now with a very solid run here tonight. He said this is the coolest racetrack he's ever been to. Pretty cool, especially because the car has been great all day. So good, in fact, they ended practice early. He has been in the top 10 all race long. Jim.
Carl Edwards made the long trip from Pocono and frankly expected better things. We think Carl's slowing down because he's trying to take care of the right front tire. In fact, he told Drew Blickensurfer before the last pit stop, check it good, because he thinks that I am killing. He thinks we are killing the right front tire, so they're keeping an eye on that. Justin Allgaier took a big swing at the car in the last set of pit stops. They are trying to search around for different lines to help this car work. They are throwing spring rubbers out to the right rear, wedge adjustment. Big swing on this from Justin Allgaier, guys.
Jim, thanks a lot. That gets you caught up on a lot of the drivers running in the top 20. As we head to break here, 150 laps complete next time by for your leader, Kyle Busch. On the night, he's led 128, dominating performance again from that 18 car, what we've come to expect, along with great racing here at the Iowa Speedway. Make sure to get a double dose of NASCAR Now tomorrow, 9 a.m. as well as midnight, both on ESPN2, both presented by 5 Hour Energy. And then make sure to join us from Pocono, 1 p.m. Eastern. That's the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing, presented by Aaron's. Coverage begins with our countdown show at noon. And then next Saturday, we go road course racing at Watkins Glen. That's NASCAR Nationwide Series, Saturday, 1:30 on ESPN. Great battle going on. The track has just subsided because you are riding on board with Trevor Bayne, and he saw that battle. Jason Leffler scooting by in that 38 car. Leffler, after having a couple of horrible finishes in a row, we'll get back to him in a little bit. The 70 car of Shelby Howard battling with our in-race reporter Michael Annette. Howard battling and taking over that 12th position.
Like the way the 70 car is getting down into the corner. Maybe carried a little too much speed. He drifted up in the middle. But I do like the way the car looks getting down into the corner.
Shelby kind of having something to prove, guys, because a couple weeks ago, I want to take you back to the finish at Gateway. Everyone remembers that for the way Brad and Carl pounded on each other. But here comes Shelby Howard. Look at that hit right there in that red hooded race car. That was a car sold to them, wow, right there by Kevin Harvick. It was a fantastic race car. That was still his best finish of the season in 12th. And I know he wishes he came away with a lot more. He's proven he can really drive here tonight.
Couldn't afford to lose a race car, but they have rebounded, showed some resilience, and I think these guys have done a great job the last 2 weeks.
Again, Shelby now running 12th. Michael Annette running right behind him. Just got past, and it's a good run for both of them. Our in-race reporter talked to us during our red flag periods as well. He's done a good job keeping that car in one piece and avoiding the carnage that we've seen on the racetrack. Hey, I wanted to get back to something there, too, as well. We're past sort of the halfway point in these runs when we've seen problems with the right front tires here today, right? And we talked about, Ricky, I want to get to you first. Carl Edwards, our report from Jim, was that he knows that, and he's monitoring that from the driver's seat.
Yeah, as a driver, you can feel your car favor one end or the other, right front or right rear. If that's happening, then you have to work the opposite end. What Carl's doing is he'll roll down into the corner a little lighter, carry less speed in the corner, maybe not turn down in as quick because that creates heat in the right front. We got our caution out, guys. Right in front of the car.
Is it possibly exactly what we were talking about?
Looks like Brian Scott has a right front down. Why it's down, don't know. But again, that's another Braun car, guys. What we talked about earlier with Reed Sorensen.
And you look at the numbers don't lie. It's roughly the same spot, green flag running, that we've had twice. So there is a trend here.
And a couple of reasons we pointed to. Jim mentioned he talked to the NASCAR or to the Goodyear engineers, who are pointing to the beads melting on the inside, excessive brake heat, and Ray wondering earlier if maybe some of the short track setups here are not providing enough air to those right fronts and causing that excessive heat.
Well, if you look, guys, if we just got a quick look at the front of Brian Scott's car, I did notice a lot of brake duct opening. If we can get another shot of that, but that might be it. Again, trying to keep those cars turning. As we look, normally you see some brake duct opening there. We don't see a lot of opening. And what happens when you open up the nose of the car to get the air to the brakes, it makes the car tighter, aerodynamically tighter. When you put the tape on there, the car's faster.
Brian Scott qualified third. He was running 10th, so huge disappointment.
So why did this happen to the 11 car and not Carl Edwards? Because he was managing it. And the point I was making is Carl, as a veteran driver, knows how to rotate to the right rear and put the car in the right rear through the middle of the corner.
Broken record. There's your Lucky Dog Free Pass winner, Jeremy Clements, once again, as all of our leaders are coming to pit road. And Kyle Busch will lead them down. Harvick and Leffler to follow, with Bain in the 4th position. Everyone taking this chance to come down to pit road. And Jim.
And Dave, just a slight air pressure adjustment needed for Kevin Harvick. He's just a little bit tight off the corner. It'll be a four-tire stop. Sunoco Racing Fuel going in the car. And Kevin Harvick is going to make a quick getaway. Rick.
Kyle Busch came in. He said the changes they made last time were great. Do about half as much this time. Jason Leffler right next door in pits says his track is starting to come to him now. It's getting better and better. He just wanted a great stop. Shannon?
Guys, Trevor Bain says my car is still as good as it was before. Just everybody else has gotten better. They're going to make a track bar adjustment, and 4 tires at 99 is down and away.
Kyle let him in. Kyle will lead him out, and you see everybody once again taking those 4 tires. Trevor Bain up as a position. Stephen Wallace up 2. Our Nationwide Insurance race off pit road. You see it there. We'll be back to Iowa. Diamond Waltrip crew for Trevor Bain having a good night on pit road. He currently restarts in the 4th position. They did lose a spot right there. And your restart leader will be Kyle Busch. He once again chooses the outside line. And have we seen him on pit road for the last time? Will their right fronts last? Kyle and Kevin race into turn 1.
This is interesting because this is the first time that Kevin Harvick's lined up in the front row, restarted on the front row, and his car's gotten better and better. See what he has here for coming.
We will see, and so will Stephen Wallace. Wallace has had a great night, and Ray, you saw once again his crew picked him up on pit road.
Yeah, they picked him up about 4 spots last time and 2 this time, so that 66 crew having a good time. But, he was a gainer, but we noticed the 22 cars back in traffic.
And apparently Shannon has caught up with the reason why. Shannon?
Oh, for you guys are talking about, I'm sorry, which car were you guys talking about?
The 22. He restarted 9th, Shannon.
Correct. Guys, he actually came down pit road and they pulled a spring rubber out of the right rear spring. So that is why he fell back to 9th, restarted 9th. The car was loose, it's been loose all race, so they have been working on that.
All right, Ray, worth the time? Well, should I ask the driver first? Worth the time in restarting back 9th?
Right now, I'm saying no.
But if the car comes to him, it was the right call, right?
Sure, with almost 90 laps to go, if it's just too loose, he probably told him, look, I'm too loose to win this race. Pulling that spring rubber out cost him a little bit of time, but it'll actually soften that spring rate in the right rear, give him a little bit more grip, so he can drive the car a little bit harder.
So it almost sounds like he needs a little help getting in the corner, Ray. The right rear, get down in the racetrack, getting in the corner, and
well, certainly a stiff right rear spring could free you up getting in, but it sounded like it was more middle and off because that's where you really want to put the pedal down. And that right rear spring, if it's too stiff in the middle of the corner, it'll turn the car too sharp for you and not really let you lay on the throttle.
You're on board with Trevor Bain running 4th, trying the low line now. He's been working the high line the last time through. He works it underneath Stephen Wallace, who's got that 3rd spot.
Reading Jerry Baxter's lips, and he said up with the track bar 1 round. So freeing up, loosening up the 99 car.
In the opposite direction of who were we just talking about? The 22. He had to go the other way. You look on the right side of your screen to follow that battle. Meanwhile, there is Keselowski, who's moved his way up to 6th, so he has picked up 3 spots, and he's trying to hold off Carl Edwards. All over this racetrack, we talked about it before, side-by-side battles. The crowd curving from the exit of turn number 4 down to the entrance of turn number 1, getting a great view of these battles as they come across the start-finish line, completing lap 172 of 250.
And as we see, that spring rubber must have worked for the 22, although he did get loose just as I said that, so he drove in there hard, but much like that, he is moving up, had just passed Jason Leffler, but did get a little bit free in the middle of the corner there, Ricky.
Yeah, he did, and it's, you know, as the fuel burns off, that'll work in his favor, but I'll tell you what, this is setting up a situation where if we have another long green flag run, they're probably going to use their last set of tires, everybody, and they can't afford any big adjustments on that lap stop.
Well, and maybe possibly finally see the 2-tire strategy just to keep your track position.
And again, on the right side of the screen, we see those 2 young guys in the Toyotas. Toyotas are really running well. It looked like 3 or 4 out of the top 5 there, but Steve Wallace and Trevor Bayne keeping up with the adjustments on their car pretty good and running in the top 5. Solid.
I'm going cross-eyed here watching these 2 battles, but they're both so good. And Leffler in the 38 has been very impressive this week. We said it already. He's been running up in the top 10 most of the afternoon, currently holding down 6th.
Yeah, I like your point, Ray. You know, you got Stephen Wallace and Trevor Bayne are matching Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick, and if they restarted 1st and 2nd, might that be the difference? You know, just being out in clean air. But they've gotten better as the night's gone on. I think at least the 99's maintained. They're both going to be contending for the win. They just look, you know, with less than 100 laps to go, they're both very strong.
Nothing has changed up front. Kyle Busch has legged it out over Kevin Harvick right now. Harvick running in 2nd, but nowhere near Busch. It's 10 to 15 car lengths back. Right on board with Steve Wallace trying to hold off Trevor Bayne. Bayne has sort of moved up to that mid-groove now that he's no longer challenging. Speaking of challenging, we see Allgaier going to the outside of DiBenedetto. Allgaier takes over 8th. And behind them, there is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Bad day for him all the way around. 2 race cars wrecked. That 6 car, you kind of notice an odd paint scheme. Well, that was a Carl Edwards backup car they had to pull out for the race. Didn't have any laps on it when this started. And Ricky Stenhouse has driven his way all the way up into that now 11th position.
Yeah, under what I think are the most difficult circumstances of his young, early career. You know, when you wreck 2 cars, that has an effect on you psychologically. He's going into the race in a borrowed car they had never run a lap in. His seat's not comfortable. The car may not be comfortable, and he's just outside the top 10. It's pretty impressive.
This is a young man with a lot of talent. We've seen him race throughout the years in the open wheel cars, sprints and midgets, wings, non-wings, dirt, pavement. You know, it just takes a little bit of time. The tendency for the young guys that come in out of the high-powered cars, sometimes they overdrive these things a lot, and you got to slow them down.
Ray, I got to ask you, as they design these nationwide cars these days, that car was designed for Carl Edwards. It could be very different than what Ricky was driven. Do you agree?
That might be the best thing. Maybe he can't push the pedal all the way down, and he is slowing it down.
Ricky, a couple inches shorter than Carl Edwards, but certainly the technology there for Roush Fenway Racing, and Ricky giving that 6 car a really great run. DiBenedetto still battling with Leffler. Again, that's with Allgaier, excuse me. Again, that's for 8 positions.
What's impressed me about all these young drivers is that there have been several opportunities to push the issue, get yourself in trouble, and they haven't. You know, they've had the sense to back out, to wait, to give themselves an extra lap. Quite a contrast to what we saw at times in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
The veteran Mike Bliss, the 5th car in line there. Bliss running in the 12th position, having a strong run tonight in the 40. Michael Annette's been looking for that car to come back around to him. It seems like it was better in the daylight. The 15 may have been one of those daylight cars that just hasn't quite had the handle here after the sun went down.
Well, again, that communication from a young driver's point of view is hard. You know, the experienced drivers have built an information base over several years, several races. So when you're a new guy, you're not really sure what you want to feel in that car. It just takes time to get that, Dave.
Through 3 and 4. Keeping you with this group, again, leader Kyle Busch is stretched out over Kevin Harvick, so you're not missing anything up front. Ricky Stenhouse is getting pressure now from Mike Bliss. We mentioned earlier the Bliss team, the 40 car for Curtis Key, not the most heavily funded in the series. Gary Showalter, the crew chief, and that bunch have been working hard this year to keep the 40 car in the points and keep it motivated. They had kind of a silly penalty a couple of weeks ago, and Gary told me that was the hardest thing in the world to call Curtis up on the phone and tell him he just cost him $5,000. Hard to get fined like that. We mentioned Ricky Stenhouse and that great run in the 6 car. Shannon?
When Ricky Stenhouse was asked pre-race how he refocuses for tonight's race, he said last year, I sat on the pole here, and that is focus that I need. I know that I can run up front. I know what I need out of a race car. He's had some great finishes in the last couple weeks, 3 top 11 finishes in the last 4, and they have been working on this car tonight. It's been just a little bit tight for Ricky. But guys, I would love for you to be able to talk about how challenging it is for a young driver when they're involved in a wreck in practice and a wreck in qualifying to come out here, refocus, and do what they have to do on the racetrack.
Yeah, Shannon, it's extremely difficult. And again, all drivers go back to experience, and they say, I got myself out of this jam this way, or I got myself in this jam this way. In this case, Ricky doesn't have a lot to draw from. He's doing a remarkable job here, and under some very difficult circumstances. I commend him.
That is Trevor Bayne racing for 3rd with Steve Wallace. More side-by-side battlings on this progressively banked track, 7/8 of a mile around, and racy everywhere these guys go.
And Ray, we talked about the communication and giving your crew chief, vital information, the right few words to make a good adjustment. That works on pit stops, but now their only option is, look, if I'm not happy with my car, I have to move around the racetrack. You don't have that at every track. You do have it here, and with experience, that'll come to them. They can change their entry, they can change their middle, change their exit, and their car will perform differently.
Right, they're getting great experience, and again, that's where an experienced crew chief can come in. Scott McDougall is the crew chief on the 66 car, engineer by trade. He can tell Stephen, okay, you turn your brake blower on, turn your brake. They run blowers now on the front and rear of these cars, so you can change the balance of that car by adding or taking away temperature on your tire using that blower. So this is great experience for these guys. I don't think there's any better experience for a young guy than a long green flag run as burns out the fuel and uses up the tires.
Yes. And that young guy in the 66 chasing down the 99 of Trevor Bayne, running 3rd right now. Can he be the one after 250 laps to take it home here at the Iowa Speedway? He was the fastest qualifier tonight. Or will it be Kevin Harvick trying to chase down Kyle Busch, who continues to lead here in Iowa? Kyle Busch continuing to put the laps down here as the leader at the Iowa Speedway. 250 will be the distance. We're getting to 195 right now, so a quick 55 to go. And when Kyle has led the most laps, which is 6 times in 2010, guys, he's won the race.
Yeah, it sure looks like he's got a good shot at doing that tonight. But as you look at the track temperature from when we started to where we are now, that 10 degrees, 101 to 91, is huge. And that's probably where Kyle, his car's getting faster and faster. He was a little bit too free in the beginning on the long runs, but right now that thing is just checked out.
It's a dramatic change. Typically, grip all the way through the corner, right? But for somebody like Kyle, he'll take advantage of the opportunity, with whether he needed some help getting in or through the middle or off. He anticipates what he's got right now. He anticipated that.
Yeah. And his motivation, we talked about championships before, but he just wants to run up the numbers. This is a guy that just wants to win races, get as many in that win column as he can.
And the bad news for everybody else, Kyle's running 24.90s. They started the race running 25 10s, 20s, 30s. Those are fast laps right now.
And we talked about that, 133 mile per hour lap average for the pole. But Ray, that's getting between 150, 160 going into the corners.
Absolutely. As we said, that even though the track looks like Richmond, the way that the banking on the corner exit allows these guys to really lay in the throttle and go down those straightaways. As I was looking at this racetrack, there's only a short part of the back straightaway right there that doesn't have banking. Other than that, and that means banking, big radius, you're in the throttle a lot. This is a fast racetrack.
And going back to Rusty Wallace, one of the best to ever race in NASCAR, he designed the track so that it would be driver friendly. And he understood that putting banking in, starting in the middle of the corner, would load the car, give the driver a good feel, and it allows drivers to do what these guys are doing or getting ready to do, which is run side by side down into the corner. Again,
2 young guys having a great side-by-side battle, both aiming for that top 10 finishing position, Justin Allgaier and Michael Annett, two guys that we talked about in the game show. There they are, hanging in there late in the race, side-by-side battle for top 10.
And, you know, we talked early in the day about taking care of fenders, Ray. It's remarkable. These guys have all taken care of their fenders. I know there's 50 laps to go.
And, you know, the only thing really hurting the fenders tonight has been when they melted those beads on the right front and they popped the tire.
Well, they're about to go 3 wide here, so I'll be watching their fenders. 4 wide, Mike Bliss down on the inside.
Got around Robert Richardson, the lap car there, the 23, and Bliss looking for an opportunity now. Again, this is Allgaier running in the 9th position, Annett 10th, and Bliss in 11th. Bliss, I think, is smelling a top 10 run here tonight.
That would be great for Cherokee Motorsports, the top 10 finish. You know, Mike's just we're talking about young guys, you know, veteran journeyman driver. Just about everything he gets in, he's able to get a decent finish, take care of people's equipment. Mike's been around a long time. He'd be a guy you'd put in and say, look, I need you to take care of my car and I need a good solid finish.
Yeah, you're right, Ray. He's one of these guys that improves everybody around him. You know, just takes them up a little bit higher and runs a little better than maybe what they were expecting.
And look at that graphic there. Lap 1, position 40th. He was involved in that lap 1 incident, spinning to the high side coming out of turn number 4. So great recovery for the veteran Bliss. Working on Annett now. Again, we mentioned Annett running in the 10th. So
sparks.
There it is. And that's Mike Wallace.
Wow. But it looks very similar, doesn't it, to what we've had?
Sure does.
Caution is out. It looks identical to what we've seen here.
Guys, and unfortunately, it's right about that same window.
Yep, as we look, they were last on pit road, lap 163. So that's your 50 lap mark right there, Ray, and that's about all we've seen out of a number of cars on that right front.
So which means this last set of tires could take us right down to the sort of the bubble area.
Oh man, and then we talked about Carl Edwards earlier taking care of his right front. When does he go for it? You know, and how do you know? I guess it depends on how hard you've been driving it during these runs, right?
It depends a lot, and I think that, you know, Ray, you're sitting on the box. How low can you take the air pressure? I mean, how low do you dare go down? Because that's one thing you could do, maybe, to help preserve the right side tires.
Well, guys, you know, going back to, I really don't believe we're seeing a tire issue. We're seeing a
mechanical
brake issue,
right?
You know, what you saw there, the flames coming from that tells me that there's, again, a brake problem in the front of that car. And as it melts the bead on that tire, the air goes out. We just catch the sparks as the car's going up the track, and there's Mike Wallace right there. Again, another veteran driver. So you would assume that Mike knows how to take care of brakes and stuff. So again, here we go on pit road. They're come for their last set of tires.
This is the money stop. Jim, here comes Harvick.
And Kevin Harvick and Ernie Cope are going to go for the money. It will be a 2-tire stop. They started to take 4. Then Kevin said, nope, I think we need to go for it right now. 2-tire stop, full load of Sunoco fuel. Harvick is away, Rick.
Kyle Busch wanted the exact same changes that he had last time. He said, do the same thing again, about half as to what they did 2 ago. Comfortable, and now Shannon.
Brad Keselowski says the car is a little bit free, guys. They are going to go for, looks like 4 tires on Brad Keselowski. You see Trevor Bayne in the top of your screen. He is going to work on that car as well. They're going to go back on the track bar and more tires.
And as you watch the race off of pit road, we'll be able to show you who took 2 and who took 4. There is that track position right now. As you see, the new leader coming to the green should be Kevin Harvick. Well, Kyle Busch fell back a little bit on that round of pit stops, but he's dominated the night. Down to pit road and Jim Noble.
All right, I'm on the box with Ernie Cope, crew chief for Kevin Harvick. It was a gutsy call. 2 tires. I think you and Kevin both talked. If you're going to do it, now's the time.
Yeah, right now we're not running for points. We're trying to win races. We figured that'd be our best shot. Just get track position, see what happens. I mean, Kyle had us. He took off better, so our best chance to take 2 tires and try getting out front.
All right, coming to the green, guys.
42 laps to go. The top 5 took 2 right side tires only. Behind them, Kyle Busch, the first one to take 4. Let's see what Harvick can do.
See what Kevin Harvick can do, but I got one eye on Kyle Busch because this is the deepest he's been in the field all
What he
night.
can do, way to the outside, immediately passes 3 cars, and Busch now running 3rd. Those guys look like sitting ducks up there.
Interesting.
More 3 wide behind him. Josh Wise in the 7, Keselowski in the 22, Shelby Howard racing back in the 70. Great restart action on these double file restarts, shootout style. Puts all the cars racing each other at the front of the pack.
And Kyle just incredibly strong in that middle groove. Drove by the outside.
Yeah, and really, really aggressive. Driving deep into the corner.
Here comes Keselowski. trying to work on Allgaier. Harvick is about to have his hands full with Kyle Busch.
Teammates side by side. Ricky, that used to make me nervous as a car owner.
I was just thinking that, it's hard enough to race side by side with your competitors, but when it's your teammate, you just give a little extra margin for error.
Now, last week we saw one of the biggest races of the year. The Brickyard 400 was won by a car that took 2 tires only on its final stop, with the race dominator being stuffed back in the back. But Kyle Busch has made much shorter work than Juan Pablo Montoya was able to last week.
So I think that was a key where Juan Pablo didn't really get going, actually lost a couple positions in the first couple laps. Kyle just jumped to the outside and made up positions, and he's basically right on the back bumper of the 33 car now.
Exactly. Last week's track, Indianapolis, didn't give the options that we have here tonight. You can see Trevor is using option A, lane 1. Brad in the middle of the track.
Option 2, and Allgaier trying to not have him use option 3, which might be the bumper. Allgaier trying to keep him behind him right now. Allgaier drifting to the high side there, having all the track to work with. He's running his line. These guys have to adapt.
Yeah. And whether or not 2 tires works depends on what your car was doing before you made that decision. 2 tires has always tightened me up as a driver. So if you were loose, it might work in your favor.
Let's hear from Shannon on Keselowski.
Well, it was 4 scuffed tires for Brad Keselowski as well as an air pressure adjustment, but they opted not to go with any fuel to help with that nose weight. Ray, maybe you can just describe how that will affect that car.
Yeah, well, 2 things, but leaving the fuel out makes it lighter, and a lighter car is always faster, but it'll also make the car a little bit tighter. Sometimes when you put fuel in, it frees the car up, and Brad's been fighting a loose car all night. The other thing that will tighten that car up probably is the scuffed tire versus a sticker tire. It might make the car a little bit tighter, but sometimes a scuffed tire with 1 heat cycle on it is not as fast as a sticker, so he might be struggling with that right now.
We saw Michael in that wiggle there in the 15 car. He's holding down 4th position right now, trying to keep those guys behind him. Up front, Kevin Harvick has put 10 car lengths on Kyle Busch with just the change of the 2 right side tires. Remember, Busch took 4. We continue to watch this battle between Allgaier, Annett, and Bain. Keselowski looking in there too. Shelby Howard in that 70 car again having a great run. Howard currently holding down 8.
Inched his way forward all night. Now he's amongst guys who've been racing up front.
And guys, with Shelby Howard coming in there, it's probably going to force the 22 Brad Keselowski to maybe put a little bit of extra pressure on his teammate, because the 12 of Allgaier and the 99 of Bain have been running kind of side by side, but they're starting to get some company. Carl Edwards, Stephen Wallace, and Shelby Howard.
Yeah, you're right, Ray. If you look at Brad's situation just ahead of this pack, he can be offensive right now. He can choose his lane, but as they close in, he has to be defensive, and almost always slows you down when you're preoccupied with your mirror.
Carl Edwards sticking to that low line to do his passing. Shelby Howard is going to have to give way coming off of turn number 2 there, and Edwards takes over 9.
Riding with Stephen Wallace now, who had...
Sorry, that was 8, guys.
Stevens had to rally back, and I don't know if that was from that last pit stop or not, but we were watching him run 3rd, 4th, 5th, and now he's battling his way back toward that.
Stephen was actually one of the cars that took 4 tires on that, so it put him back a little bit on that restart. But as you can see, he wanted to run the bottom. And Ricky, sometimes 4 tires is better if you want to run the bottom.
Yeah, it's just grip. What I like about the 4 tires is that, and you can appreciate this, Ray, is that your air pressures are balanced. When you take on right side tires, remember your right side new tires are low air pressure. Your left sides that you leave on are high air pressure, and you feel that as a driver. It's working for Kevin Harvick, but I believe it's working because he had a loose car all night, and now he's out front in clean air and can choose his lane.
Keselowski grabs 5th from Annett. Brad Keselowski making his way back toward the front. Again, he comfortably leads the championship points. I'm sure they're looking for much more than that as the season winds down. A couple more W's for that 22 team, which has been very good this year.
And so we say, when is it time to go? 30 laps left, guys. It's time to go.
We've got to go to break one more time, unfortunately, as well. We'll come back to bring you the green flag finish, hopefully, here at the Iowa Speedway. 30 to go. Your leader is Kevin Harvick. He's keeping Kyle Busch behind him at this point. We'll see if he can hold him off till the end. Has caught Kevin Harvick, and coming off of turn 4 to the start-finish line, he is going to reassume the lead. Again, Busch taking 4 tires on the last pit stop. Kevin Harvick holding him off until just then. Kevin's going to try to hang on, guys, but that dominant 18 car with 4 fresh tires versus the 2 looks like the cat to beat.
Yeah, and when you put on right side tires only, typically the right side tires will wear faster, right? Because the left sides aren't going to carry the load.
Yeah, you know, I think it was a good call for Kevin. It was really his only shot to win the race. But the 18 car, Kyle, it's been so strong all night. We watched as soon as the air pressures came up to about where he wanted it, he started knocking off a 10th or 2/10 of a second per lap. That thing is just so strong.
And give Kyle credit for one other thing. When you get in a situation where you've been leading all night, dominating, and somebody pulls a fast one, you know, like Harvick did, 2 tires, gets out front and distances themselves from you, sometimes you have a tendency to overdrive to try and make it up. Kyle waited, let the air pressures build up evenly, and it came back to him.
He was very aggressive on the restart. Getting those 2 or 3 positions early stopped him from getting in that extremely dirty air and making the car too tight.
Looking a little further back, you're on board with Steve Wallace. He moves to the inside of Justin Allgaier, trying for that 7th position as the laps wind down.
And Steven's had a great night. He's run just a really good and really smart race. Got back a little bit far for those 4 tires. Starting to come to him now. Still got 20 laps to go to make up some more spots.
Using that low line. We've talked about the fact that with 4 fresh tires, you can run that low line a little bit harder. 4th place being contested on the right side of your screen.
Brad Keselowski still looks a little bit loose there, but his car actually has been running lap times comparable with Kyle Busch's.
Trevor Bayne in the 99. He's holding off Keselowski, trying to use that momentum on the high side. That is for 4th. Keselowski drops back to 5th.
One of the things I really enjoy here is just watching Brad use every lane available. I mean, he is using all there is to work with.
And what's Trevor doing? Is he making it wide and blocking, or is he running the line he wants to?
Well, what impresses me about watching the 99 car and Trevor Bayne is he's racing the track. You know, he's just doing his job. He's smart enough, and you know, he's smart enough and good enough that when a driver gets position on him, he'll surrender that. But he's making a habit. Trevor Bayne is making a habit of running among the leaders the last 3 weeks, and it's great experience.
And at 19 years old, is that correct? 19. We're going to see a lot more of this kid.
Yeah. So is this a prime for this kid?
Prime. The way that they're bringing him up now, I mean, I think, like I said, Logano started when he was an embryo, so they're making him younger and younger.
Less than 20 to go. 6th place, Michael Annett, Steve Wallace. Steve took us for a lap around the Iowa Speedway in our countdown show today. He told us how he likes to run it, and he likes to run it when he's passing other cars, that's for sure. Right behind him, Allgaier and DiBenedetto battling as well.
Another good, smart move there with Steven. He drove in, rolled through the center of that corner, and then you saw the flames go out on the pipes. When the flames are on the right side pipes, they're off the throttle. When the flames go out, they're back on the gas. Middle of the corner, he was back on the gas and drove by Michael Annett.
Here's that other battle we were talking about. Matt DiBenedetto in that 20 car, his 5th start of the season for Joe Gibbs Racing in that car. Justin Allgaier, winner already on the circuit this year. Thought he might have a better night. Currently holding down the 8th position.
We have to put an asterisk next to Justin Allgaier because it's a backup car. And as much as you want to believe that that's as good as your primary car, you say, well, why did I bring that other car? Because it is typically a little bit better.
Justin was involved very early in practice with Ricky Stenhouse, found himself up against the wall. The reports we got were one was spinning, the other was trying to avoid, and both ended up in backup cars. As Justin continues to try to hold Matt DiBenedetto off, Kyle Busch continues to lead. Kevin Harvick doesn't have anything for him at this point. And Busch has just stretched it out once again. This is the best battle on the racetrack for you.
I've been so impressed with these drivers, the opportunity to find trouble. And it's been there all night long, and they've just managed the race cars and the racetrack almost to perfection.
On a racetrack that provides great side-by-side racing, great viewing, and all around a great experience for the fans that come out to see it, and for those of us who send it home on your television. Here's Carl Edwards finally looking like he's got a little life in this run, guys.
Yeah, again, another guy on 4 tires. As I said, he's about to help get our young guys a little bit more experience.
10th right now for Edwards.
was sort of similar to where Carl was racing last week at ORP. Came in, got tires late, charged to the front. Not going to have that option tonight. And he's just going to have to grind it out here for 8th, 9th, 10th. It's going to get really busy here because Carl is faster than those two. And we're going to see if experience matters. I think it will.
Well, he's watching a raw rookie in DiBenedetto in that 20 car trying to find a way around Allgaier. And Matt just doesn't have as many laps to have his options. Here's Carl's progression tonight. Got as low as 19th. He's worked his way back up to the top 10.
Goes to the bottom of the racetrack. Now he's downloading. He's saying, all right, I liked it. I didn't like it. It looks like he lost a little distance. I'll bet he goes to the higher side down here in 1. Because at this point, with almost 10 laps to go, he's saying, I got to find what the racetrack will give me.
Looks like he lost a little ground there to the guys. Might have pushed up, or maybe that top side wasn't the fastest way around there on the 4 tires.
Coming to 10 to go. Kyle Busch has just crossed the stripe for that. He continues to have the lead well in hand over Kevin Harvick, his closest pursuer. Leffler and Keselowski running 3rd and 4th, Bain in 5th. Steve Wallace is 6th. Michael Annett is 7th. You see Michael there in the 15 car. This is still the battle for 8th. And DiBenedetto's just not letting go of that chance to pick up an 8th spot versus finishing 9th.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll bet Roger Penske and Joe Gibbs are just loving this. They're sitting there watching, hey, we have both picked 2 really good young guys in our stable.
And remember, DiBenedetto for the last 2 races has had major disappointment, listed as an engine failure last week, and then 2 weeks ago at Gateway was involved in a wreck with his teammate Brad Coleman and walked away from that night just shaking his head. This is a great comeback for him.
Yeah, and the real beneficiaries are the crew members, the guys that put these cars back together, and they see their drivers doing a great job all night, and they see their drivers charging to the front.
They see as they're side by side, Carl Edwards is coming back to the party. And just, again, I know we've talked about it, but want to throw another shout out to Jack Roush, good buddy. Hope that he's watching. Probably not the night that he wanted, but all things considered, we miss Jack, and hopefully we can see him back here at the racetrack soon.
Jack belongs at the racetrack. Can't wait to see you, Jack.
I'm thankful that he wasn't more severely injured this week. Also, our buddy Vince Welch, who was supposed to be here this evening. He's recuperating at home as well, and look forward to getting him back at the racetrack too. Meanwhile, this battle continues as they put Boardman in their wake. And Ricky, on a race like this where you just had a guy dogging you the entire time, what's Allgaier going through?
Well, I'll tell you what he's going through. He's saying, he's got his spotter saying 6 to go. There's an urgency. Okay, your heart rate goes up a little here. Maybe it leads you into doing something that you hadn't done all night, but that's what's on the line. Not just for Allgaier, for DiBenedetto and Carl, who's in a points battle.
Carl's about to get caught by Josh Wise, too, as these two come ever so close, crossing the start-finish line with 5 to go.
I got to say, psychologically, there's a big difference between 5th and 6th. It means I had a top 5 versus a top 10. That's how drivers think.
What a great race between these two. And you see DiBenedetto's left front brake rotor glowing red. You got to believe the right front's in the same situation. We're probably within the window, that we're not going to see another right front issue due to brake heat. Yep, you see the right front there is pretty hot as well. He's smoking a little bit now,
You can say that. I'm not so confident. The right front rotor red is not good at a track that's this fast.
Right, and that's where the spotters are probably saying, guys, ready to go. Take care of that brake. Take care of that right front tire. Your rotors are glowing.
But this is it. 3 to go. This is for everything right now for DiBenedetto. Continuing to pressure Allgaier. I think we're going to be watching this one down to the final lap.
What's interesting is that a driver can feel so many components of the car. The front, the balance of the front, the rear. But you can't really tell if your rotors are glowing. That's not something you can sense.
Well, you hear guys talk about long pedal. As those rotors start to glow, doesn't the brake pedal start to feel a little bit funny, a little bit spongy?
Yeah, on a short track, typically.
White flag is out for Kyle Busch. Remember last year, a little bit of strategy and a late race move by Brad Keselowski caused Busch not to win here at the Iowa Speedway. We continue to watch DiBenedetto trying to beat Allgaier. They're coming to the white flag now, and they'll have one more lap to figure this one out. Keeping our eye on that, we've got one eye on Kyle Busch as well. Kyle Busch goes from Pocono back and forth to qualify his race car here and win at Iowa in its second ever race. Here's the race to the checkered flag between Allgaier and DiBenedetto, and Allgaier is going to prevail out of the final corner. Boy, what a great battle down to the end between those two. Here you see the rest of your top 10 flashing across the screen. Josh Wise and Shelby Howard having a great run as well. But there is the guy who has done it 9 times in 2010. He is just one shy of tying the all-time win record, and he would like to see it broken before the end of the year. That's a single season record. Rick DeBoer, you are on the pit box right now with his crew chief.
Well, that's right, Jason Ratliff, very happy. All right, let's start off by talking about the last decision. You took 4. The guys around you, ahead of you, were taking 2. Did you have doubts at any point?
Well, we'd been making air pressure adjustments and some wedge adjustments that were really working for us. And we needed 4 tires. I mean, we needed those air pressure adjustments in the left side to go with the right side. So I felt like our car was good enough that if we lost a few spots, we could make it up because there was enough laps left. And it worked out for us. Our Z-Line Designs Toyota was great. Kyle did a great job. The guys did a great job on pit road. When we started, it was wasn't where we needed. And when the sun came down, or went down, the track kind of came to us, and our adjustments came to us. It was a good night.
Jason Ratliff, Kyle Busch's crew chief, very happy up here that they were able to adjust all the way and turn it into a winning car.
And Rick, a very familiar scene, Kyle Busch doing some celebratory burnouts and getting that checkered flag to salute himself and his team on their 9th win of the 2010 season. It's certainly been an impressive run for Busch this year, guys.
He's batting over 500. You know, it's just amazing what he's done. He's led every race he's been in this year and dominated this race.
Kyle Busch climbing back in to drive toward victory lane. He did it in dominating fashion here tonight, fist pumping in the air, and why not? A bow to the crowd. Kyle Busch has won at the Iowa Speedway, leading 209 of 250 laps. Here, you got to make sure you flip over to the X Games on ESPN for the Super Rally. And I know, Ray, that you've raced against one of those guys on a dirt track, Pastrana, right?
Oh, yeah. I was fortunate enough to be invited to Tony Stewart's Prelude to the Dream. Travis was on there. At every corner, the guy would blow by us all wide open and disappear, then come by. I think he passed 100 cars and still finished 20th. But, I mean, hey, running on the dirt track in a late model is nothing for a guy that jumps out of an airplane wearing just his boxer shorts.
That is Travis Pastrana, and race fans, I know you're going to want to tune over there and see Super Rally. They go head-to-head. It'll be exciting. Well, everyone's tried to go head-to-head tonight with Kyle Busch, but they haven't been able to do it, Rick. He is in victory lane.
A very happy Kyle Busch. We are getting absolutely soaked up here in victory lane. We're going to talk to Kyle Busch because it was an interesting race, listening on the radios as to how much work they had to do to dial all this in. All right, Kyle, we're going to talk to you about the fact that at the beginning of this race, we were talking about the fact that if you won tonight, you may never practice again for one of these races. Because you didn't practice last week, you did well. You didn't practice this week. What's the story?
It's pretty phenomenal, you know, the race cars these guys put out. This is my 54th win in a Toyota. You believe that? It's been an awful lot. I'm real proud of those guys. Can't thank them enough. And Z-Line Designs, Jim and Monica, of course, NOS Energy Drink, Combos, Marquee Jets, Gillette. The fans, man, what an awesome turnout this week. I mean, it was phenomenal. That was really, really cool.
About 50 laps in, I heard you say, you know, the car just isn't here tonight. But you have to be impressed with what that crew, Jason and the guys, were able to do. They kept dialing it in. What was the secret? At what point did you know it changed?
On that restart there, when Trevor and I were side by side, it was probably like the third or fourth one, and I was able to get by the 99 and kind of check out a little bit. You know, I was like, oh, well, the adjustments we just made work. You know, that was pretty good. So, real proud of Jason and thinking about how to make this car better. You know, I didn't think we had it. It was the same car we had last year, or same feel anyway. I was like, man, it's just not coming off the corner the way I need it to be. And we were able to dial it in and get it to where we needed it. And so I can't thank these guys. Jason, Brad Coleman did a great job for me, Brad. And the pit crew gave me awesome stops all night. And I was worried there with Harvick taking 2 tires. I was like, man, same thing as last year. I'm going to get beat by 2. But I got into my rhythm and I got going and just started clicking laps and got up to Harvick there and beat him. So hopefully he waits for me so I get my ride home.
All right, well, Kyle Busch is a man who's probably never going to take practice in Nationwide again.
Well, guys, it was a valiant effort for Kevin Harvick, and I'm going to guess your only shot at beating Kyle Busch was that 2-tire stop on the last pit stop. You rolled the dice. Sometimes you win, sometimes you finish second.
Yeah, he was a little bit better on the restarts. My car was just really loose on the restarts, chattering the rear tires, getting in the corner, and I thought, what the heck, we'll put 2 tires on. And we got 5 cars in between us, but he passed them all on the first lap, so the track position didn't pay off. But our Jimmy John Chevrolet was really good. Got to thank David Mayhew. I know a lot of people hadn't heard of David, but he did a great job driving our car tonight, getting it set up, and Ernie Cope and all the guys on this team did a great job on the pit box and in the pits, and it's fun when they drive like this. So I feel like we're closer to the 18, but man, those guys have just been good. We got the trophy in the plane, but the wrong guys got it. So Elliott Sadler, congratulations today. We beat Kyle's truck today, but he got us this afternoon. So we're sharing first and second jabs today.
For those who don't know, you are flying back to the Sprint Cup race in Pocono with a certain Mr. Kyle Busch in the next seat. So can you, I mean, is it, whose plane is it, first of all? So, I mean, do you have any bragging rights here?
Well, it's my plane.
Make him sit in the back then.
Well, even if he sits in the back, he's still gonna get his jabs in on the way home about beating us here tonight. But that's a lot of fun. I tried to get him to start in the back and get everybody to start in the back that didn't come today, and we do a little fundraiser. But in the end, I think we convinced ourselves that it wasn't a good idea. So we qualified well, and just got to thank Jimmy Johns and Ream and everybody who's Chevrolet who's a part of this program for getting us close.
Nice run. Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right, Dave.
Thanks, Jim. Well, folks, we appreciate you checking us out tonight and seeing that great racing all night, and Kevin Harvick trying to hold off Kyle Busch. We got more coming up. Watkins Glen next week on the road course, and then back to the big track, 2 Mile at Michigan on August 14th. All these great races coming up, and for more information, you can call 1-866-GO-NASCAR or go to NASCAR.com/tickets. There's the wave to the crowd, followed by a bow and a burnout. Kyle Busch, again, your winner in 2010. See how the points have changed. Carl Edwards losing another 26 points to Brad Keselowski tonight by virtue of his 10th place finish. Brad's still in command, and Kyle Busch, even though he's missed 4 races this year, 3rd in the driver's points. Pretty unbelievable. Well, Shannon Spake has caught up with Trevor Bayne.
Well, for the second week in a row, Trevor Bayne running up front and battling Kyle Busch on the racetrack. Your crew chief just sat down and said, man, you had a front row seat to learn from the best in the business. What did you learn tonight?
Well, I learned so much from following Kyle. I mean, he deserves every bit of the credit he gets. He's in great equipment, great crew chief, and he's an unbelievable driver. I mean, that first 50 laps, he was sideways the whole time, and we just followed him up and learned that top groove, how to get the car straight to run off the corner and get good drive. But our car, it was really free at the beginning, but as the night came on, we got tighter, and we kept getting tighter and tighter, and that's where they got us at the end. I mean, if that thing went in daylight, we probably could have got our first win here, but we're so happy about these top 5s every weekend. 3 poles in a row. I mean, I hear that's not very heard of, so that's awesome for this Aaron's Dream Machine team, and we're just excited as we can be.
Well, I hope you're working on those burnouts, because keep running like that, you'll be in victory lane very soon. Dave?
Thanks, Shannon. And Ray, you've been so impressed with these young drivers, and Bayne is at the top of the list, I think, tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Let's look through at 5th through 9th. Trevor Bayne, Stephen Wallace, Michael Arnett, Justin Allgaier, Matt DiBenedetto. I mean, this series is healthy. The future of NASCAR looks bright with young drivers like that waiting in the wings.
Ricky Craven, how did those guys do that tonight, coming from Pocono and winning here?
It speaks to their talent. To come from Pocono, Pennsylvania, 2.5 mile track that does not resemble this at all. And practice means something. It means they can get acclimated to their car, the track, all those things. But these guys still laid it on them, and it speaks to the talent.
It's a cliche, but best of the best sort of says it again tonight. Well, be sure to tune in tomorrow at 1 o'clock for more of the best of the best. That's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing at Pocono Raceway. And next Saturday, these guys are back at the road course, Watkins Glen, 1:30 p.m. on ESPN. Coming up next, men's tennis, the 2010 Olympus U.S. Open Series Farmers Classic, right here on ESPN2. Kyle Busch wins for the 9th time. For Ray Evernham, Ricky Craven, Shannon Spake, Rick DeBrule, and Jim Noble, I'm Dave Burns saying congratulations to Kyle Busch.